me that meant is that if this guy is going to be leading that university and he's going to be standing here with a professor who is 60-year-old, anawakisema kijana yangu, si ndio? So that was such an eye-opener to me, that if you want to be sustainable, then you don't have to wait until 36. 36 should be the day that you get promoted to be the chief executive officer, like in this table, right? And that's the main reason we are here today, to encourage you, to push you, and to also show you that you do not need to wait until you're 36, 35, 34 for you to be able to progress on. Sawa sawa. Now that we know the main thing that you are here, I want you to look at your neighbor. Angalia mwenye umekaa kando yake. Look at your neighbor real quick. Now tell your neighbor to introduce themselves using their African names. Using their African names. Asikwambie sijui John, African names. All right? After introducing using the African name, also tell them where you work, tell them the department that you are in. That's done, sindio? We are done. All right. I'm sure now you're not seated with a stranger. You know who the person you are seated with. So I'll be doing a roll call. And when I come, I want to know who you're seated with their African names. Sawa sawa. With the African names. Sawa sawa. Now, let me walk you down the memory lane. And because of the cold, when you guys were in nursery school, there were some songs that the teacher used to do. Because it's cold, you're foggy, you do not want to appreciate class. But there were some songs the teachers used to do to make sure that you get that motisha to start. Sindio? Now I want you to stand. Araka araka, in the interest of time. Nice. Because we are a tech generation, everybody, my assumption, hakuna tulituli hapa. It's 3 eyes and above for the iOS, Android, for the AirDrop, and so on. Sawa sawa. Now, there's a song that we used to sing back in nursery. I sent a letter to my father. Okay, somebody must have it. Letter to my father. It wasn't you, but it was. Where's the camera? The whole concept is you get a selfie of your people. Sawa sawa. You get it. You get the gist. So if it gets to you, you take a selfie of your people. Sawa sawa. Haya, let's do it again. Because let's do it again. Haya, 3, 2, 1, go. I sent a letter to my father. Somebody must have picked it up and put it in his pocket. It wasn't you, but it was. Where is the selfie? Selfie, nice. That's okay. Now, there was another song that really made me so happy. And you guys know that person who says, kwa majina ni Geoffrey Mosiria. So I want us to make noise until that guy comes and complains that we are making noise. All right? There's this song that we used to sing. Watoto wangu we, mimi baba yenyu, sina nguvu tena, ya kuua simba. It's not Simba, you say. Sawa sawa. Haya, let's clap. Watoto wangu we, mimi baba yenyu, sina nguvu tena, ya kuua simba. Simba ni mkali, aliua baba, akarudi tena, akaua mama, akarudi tena, akaua dada, akarudi tena, akaua ndugu. Sasa That's nice. Now the last one. Because a majority of them, when I look at some tables, I can test they didn't sing these songs. When I look at some tables, kuna zile table kidogo, hizo songs, they were not there. Sindio? When I look at some tables, the way they spoke, it's haro. 14 bora? Okay. So I'm getting to understand the demography over here. Ati 14 bora? There are others who are looking at me to explain what 14 bora. The others were still explaining. Now the final one, so that in the interest of time, so that we can move to the next program, there's this song we say, Nani alisema titin sio manyanga. Nani alisema sio manyanga. Mbaka wapi. Mbaka. Now we'll be singing that song as you guys have a seat. Sawa sawa. And we want to challenge this table over here. Nimeona kidogo kuna vile tunaenda nikaa tunawapoteza. This table has some sort of tides. If flight yao kidogo is going like this way. So this is a challenge. When I invite you, for example, let's say, Nani alisema karanja sio manyanga. So you come forward and then you give us a dance. Till the floor. Sawa sawa. Aya. 3, 2, 1. Let me see you clap. Nani alisema karanja sio manyanga. Nani alisema karanja sio manyanga. Mbaka wapi. Mbaka wapi. Nani alisema kila sio manyanga. Nani alisema kila sio manyanga. Mbaka wapi. Mbaka wapi. Nani alisema Fred sio manyanga. Nani alisema Fred sio manyanga. Mbaka wapi. Mbaka wapi. Nani alisema Jimmy sio manyanga. Nani alisema Jimmy sio manyanga. Mapanga le. Mbaka wapi. Mbaka chini mbaka wapi. Ah, nice. Clap for yourselves. You guys passed the vibe check. That simply means what that activity does. It simply tells you the demographic people that we have around here. So my name is Fidel Thuo, team leader, Customer Excellence Center. But on top of that, the juicy part about my life, that's a brag, because you guys will never give me another chance, is also I'm a psychologist. So a team leader and a what? Nice. So allow me to introduce Karanja Ndegwa to make his official statement, and then later on invite the CEO.
Thank you, Fidel. Good morning, everyone. As Jambo Jet, we are honored to be here, and thank you for inviting us. And I was looking at what the Constitution of Kenya describes the youth as, and a youth is someone between the age of 18 and 34 years. That is as per the Kenyan Constitution. And when I look at the average age at Jambo Jet, we are 32 years. Therefore, we actually fit in this group of the youth quite well. And with that, the youth comes in with lots of vibrancy. But they would like to put just 2-3 challenges to the youth. We're in a world that is fast-paced today, and you can easily be overtaken. So one of the aspects that I would encourage is, I normally say, it's to have a purpose as an individual. Because when you have a purpose, a person with a purpose, no matter how rough the road is, they will keep moving and they will get to their destination. But one without a purpose, and even if they're on the smoothest road, any road takes them anywhere, and they will never get to a destination because they don't know the destination that they are up to, or they are going to. So purpose comes quite one of the aspects that we need to. The second thing that I would just want to encourage is about discipline. And we keep asking ourselves about, there's that discipline and there's also that motivation. And with discipline is built over time. Upon to be motivated, we are called upon to do things through motivation, but it's not there every other day. And with discipline, it's more or less, whenever you constantly do something, no matter how small, every other day, to achieve what is what you're required to, showing up even when you don't feel like. There is that aspect of starting small and being consistent. And one thing I would encourage is that today, although we are in a very instant environment, sometimes we don't see results immediately. Mine is to encourage you is even if you can't see the results, just keep at it. Those results that come over time, that are built over time, when we are consistent, you always end up getting there. And the last item that I would want to encourage, it's also working in silence. No, sometimes we announcing your intentions always does not help. You lose focus or even attract disruptive engagements. If I'm going to Mombasa and after this, and I keep telling everyone I'm going to Mombasa, I pass by there KQ, I'm going to Mombasa, na pitia pale Jambo Jet, namwambia leo I'm going by road. See, I'm not using you today. So kifika pale Mlolonga, I remember a friend of mine, niingia hapo nimwambie bado naenda mo. So you find sometimes whatever our intention, whatever we are planning, wherever we are going, sometimes just do it. Just do it in silence. That helps. And that helps us to focus, because your energies are now focused towards the goal of where we are going. I would like to close and encourage with one verse. That's from Psalms 145, verse 18. That even in all what we do, let's stay near to the Lord and call on Him. And call on Him in truth, and He'll always answer. So ours is to commit whatever we are planning, whatever you do, keep God at the center of it. And as a youth, I believe you will succeed. And allow me not to take so much of your the time, but it's quite an interesting season time where there's a lot of information, and this enables us, can be used positively or negatively, can use it to build or even to slow us down. So it's how we use it, and because that's a generation that we are in, and mine is to encourage you, keep at it, have that purpose, have that discipline, work in silence. Sometimes keep things close, but keep working, and we'll get there. Thank you.
Thank you. So the bottom line is work in silence and also be disciplined, right? I'm trying to imagine what that means to a Manchester United fan. What do you mean we should work in silence? When my new jersey has just arrived, how am I so? Anyway, thank you so much, and we get your point and we get the concept. Now, before we could introduce our CEO, we want to do a safety brief. So Enoch from safety, kindly. Enoch. Great.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Enoch from the safety department. Yes, we will always also look at safety where we are. It's good to be aware that anything can happen amongst us. And one of the key things looking at is the hazards around. Maybe the steps while coming to the platform, be watchful, and even any obstacles around. So in the event of a fire, now we are not in a building, but either way, it's a tent. So we are all gathered here. We have our fire assembly point somewhere behind here. I think it's a bit closer. So we would recommend, do we have any fire marshals with us? Anyone trained as a fire marshal? Yes, thank you. Do you have first aiders? Yes, first aiders. I'm also a fire marshal and a first aider, can see others there. So because we have a fire assembly point just behind there, I think it would be safer if we use the exit to the parking, right? The parking we assemble there in the event of an emergency, that is fire. We'll have our fire marshals escort us, and we'll do a roll call of everyone who is here. Also, in the event of any medical emergency, remember we also have our first aiders, and we are closer to our clinic. So we'll be able to call the medics also to come and assist in the event of that emergency. Security alert, we might also have one. Let's not forget about security. We have our team at the gate. They're also very vigilant, so they'll be able to advise us and even direct us in the case of a security emergency. So thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you. It's Enoch, you said, right? Enoch. Thank you. Thank you, Enoch. So we want to go to the next step, and we want to invite our Chief Executive Officer. And, you know, I've always had your stamina. And most of the times when you go for these hikes, I usually see you ukoko mbele. And I'm trying to catch up, and I'm like, is there a therapy that you do before we go for those sessions? Because I'm trying to imagine, you're not a youth at heart. Miaka yako kidogo, you are with us. So as you come to give us your speech, please tell me the secret that you use. Because I've always wanted to understand. Iyo mbio Subaru atakuna. Mark X atatuongei.
Thank you, Fidel, and good morning. It's still morning, huh? Hey, you guys are looking so relaxed, Bana. Now, you know, first of all, I need to apologize. I am known for keeping time. And this morning I had a session with some editors of the major media outlets who were having a good engagement. And my assumption, I actually made an assumption that you would have started without me. But I think, so we had a miscommunication. So it looks like you were waiting for me to finish. And I knew I was going to end at about 9:45. So I apologize for keeping you. I know you were supposed to start earlier. So am I forgiven? Yeah, Paul Sana, this is not the way we do things. Supposed to keep time, so and respect everybody's time. So I thought I should start there. And then now about the Subaru, you what, Nini? It has taken me time. You know, Fidel is just being kind to me. The reason why I'm able to keep up is because they feel sorry for me. You know, they see this old man here. So they slow down and let me catch up. And that's the only way I'm able to catch up with Ivo. Center. Paul is always taking care of me. He wants to put me on social media. Paul does a wonderful job. In about 30 minutes, you'll see this in Twitter, Instagram. That's Paul for you. So anyway, yeah. So I think that's what happens during hikes. But I really want to encourage you all to join the ones in KQ and Jambojet, to join those opportunities that we have to be a family. The reason why we do those lots of initiatives, you know, hikes and swimming and football and all that, yes, is to keep fit, but also is to stay engaged. So, because, you know, you spend more time here than you spend at home. Do you know that? You know that, right? I hope so, at least. Yeah. And that means that when you're here, you might as well make it fun, isn't it? So we want to make sure that you're engaged. It's part of your family. That's why we say KQ family, so that you're engaged. And then I was glad to know that I have a nickname. I've never had anybody call me Kilash. That sounds very nice, eh? I was so happy, man. I'm Kilash, hey. Eh? Because when I was a little bit your age like this, the nickname I got was Kila. So they forgot the sh. Eh? Now my son is called Ingavi. So I call him Ingash. So I will tell him this evening, but mine is better than yours. Mine is Kilash. Hey, watch out. So anyway, thank you, Fidel, for that name. Eh? So from today on, my name is officially Kilash. Then the other thing is I was listening to Karanja, listening to Fidel. Is it Karash? Karash. And then I was thinking to myself, my team, and by the way, they are all Gen Zs, they did a speech for me. And I said, actually, if I read this speech, Bana, I will look so like yesterday. Yeah? So let me just have a discussion, isn't it? Instead of reading this speech, I'll have referred to it, but then I'll have a discussion. And I know you guys spent so much time doing this speech. Lakini poleni, let me just engage the youth here. So first off, I wanted to say that it's important for us to have a youth day, but it is not to say that we're not engaging with the youth all the time. Why do I think it's important for us to engage with the youth? When we were young, when you were age, we used to be told that we're tomorrow's leader. But now I'm told there's no about tomorrow's leader because the future is now. I think Fidel was saying that there was this chancellor who's 36 years old who is now chancellor. I want to tell you that indeed you can make it there. And I think Fidel I think wants to be CEO already. He's telling me that he toka hapo mimi nikae hapo. Yeah, there's some effort needed also, eh? Fidel, see what you just come. There's a little bit of effort. And when you look at our numbers, at least if I use what Karanja has said, that is 34 and below, and of course above 18, our staff complement is about 21%. In fact, I was a bit disappointed. Oh, no, sorry, 30. Ours is 30. So nyinyi mongeza 4 years. 30 and below is 21% of our workforce. And when I saw these statistics, I was a bit, to be honest, surprised. I thought it was higher than that. And I said, maybe that's a call to do something about it, because there is a certain vigor and perspective that one gets when you have a youthful population in your midst. And I can tell you that because in my house, they're the majority. Okay, so we have 3 children, and they're all Gen Zs. And to me and my wife are already, we are the minority. And so when you get their perspective, there is a certain difference that brings. So I think that is statistics says that we need to do something. Then if I look at globally, in Africa in particular, or in Kenya in particular, I see that the youth is by far the majority. But what is our main problem in Kenya in as far as youth is concerned? It's not a rhetorical question. I'm waiting for an answer. Unemployment. Yeah? That is the main issue, isn't it? Either unemployment or underemployment. It's the same thing. So, and how do we solve that problem apart from, the agitation? First is to listen. I think we as a population, and even in Kenya Airways, we're not listening enough. And one of the things I was talking to Tom, and I see he's here, I actually didn't know you're going to make it, is that we are now more deliberate. We talk about diversity and inclusion, and we talk a lot about women, but we rarely talk about youth. So now we are being more deliberate about what are the interventions we will need to make specifically for the youth in terms of fast-tracking their career, shaping up their career, so they can move up the skills, and at the same time, create more opportunities for more youth to come in. Okay? Now, let me also respect the people who did this speech. And because there was one very important lesson. How many of you know a lady called Irene Koki Mutungi? Hands up. How many of you know that lady? You don't know that lady, yeah? Okay. Especially for the lady, you should know her. Irene is a captain. Is a captain of 787. And as far as I know, Irene, first of all, she was at 20 years, she became second officer in Kenya Airways. She was flying with her dad at that time, and who was at that time a captain in Kenya Airways. And she was our first ever female pilot. Okay, so that's some clap for her, man. She's actually quite famous, so I'm a bit surprised that not many people know her. And she's still with us, just so that you know. And now she is a captain of the 787 Dreamliner. So Irene is was the first female in the world to be a captain of a Dreamliner. Okay, and that's another club. So started off her career at 20. I know now, you know, Irene is my friend, so we talk a lot. And I know what she's doing to improve herself and even move up the skills. She's interested. So right now she's the assistant chief pilot in Kenya Airways. And of course she has ambitions to even become much better. But she started and she's worked at her career from the age of 20, which was youth. And what does she say? Quoting her, she says in one of her many posts that if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. And I think it's maybe not an original quote, but it is something that you need to ask ourselves. We need to ask ourselves continuously. Are you dreaming, and are you dreaming big? And if your dreams are just that, this evening I'll have kuku. Those ones are not big enough. Yeah? You should dream big. Dream bigger. Challenge yourselves. Another point that I wanted to make is, you know, one of the things that I admire about the youth is especially the Gen Zs, and I mean the Gen Zs in terms of your generation, that generation, is the way you are brave and speak up. Because as you all know, my generation, which is X, is mine X? I think it's X, yeah. We were not encouraged to speak up. The reason why speaking up is important is because you don't die with ideas. You're able to ventilate. The only encouragement I have is then don't stop. Once you start speaking up, don't stop. Continue agitating. There's a lady who was trying to get a job, not in KQ, when in my previous employment. And I remember she came once, twice, 3 times, insisting that she was the best person for the job. And every time I didn't think so. Today, she's a very successful professional. She became a finance person, very successful professional. I gave her an opportunity. You know, after so much, you know, she kept, I think 4 times she came to see me, insisting that she was the right person for the job. And then I said to myself, let me try her. And actually, in fact, it's a biblically, that's what you're supposed to do anyway. You persist on your dreams. So when you speak up, don't give up. Even when something is not done, keep speaking up, because you know there are competing forces. There are many people who want to be heard. So if you say something once and then you give up, you can imagine what happens. You die with your idea. So continue speaking up, continue challenging, continue creating, because you are known as the generation of creators. And I've known, you know, I've been in aviation not too long, but long enough to know that when we are taking off in the morning, it's never perfect. There's always one problem or another. Sometimes there's fog, and of course, sometimes you're both flying, but it's never perfect conditions. All you need to do is you assess the environment that you want to fly, and then you make a calculated decision. In fact, if you ask Captain Koki, she will tell you that you make a decision that is not perfect, but this is the mitigations that we will make. And so that is the encouragement that comes with you. Hello. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Is this one? Bwana. I'm showing my age. Okay. Anyway, so that point made, uh, I'll stop there because that was a good illustration of where we are. So the commitment, the last things I wanted to say, the commitment we have with Kenya Airways is we say we're the pride of Africa, and it doesn't mean that we are the pride of just Africa. We want you to be proud of where you work as Kenya Airways. We want to give you opportunities, and we want you, as you step out into your careers, to be a good representation of what Africa youth can do. And I tell you, you need to take advantage of the people in Kenya Airways, and by Kenya Airways I mean the broader Kenya Airways, Jambo Jet, Kenya, KHL, Aviation, and so on. Take advantage of the opportunities we offer there. I mentioned already the engagement, employee engagement, training opportunities, and even the experience that is there. I have learned so much from the vast and deep experience that we have within Kenya Airways. There is such a wealth of experience, such a wealth of knowledge. And you know, the beauty is that what you do in aviation, nobody else can do it. I have often said that aviation, in fact, I was saying it this morning to the editors, it is the most complex sector anywhere in the world, including nuclear science, I will be, because of the raft of complexities that you have to deal with every single day. And I'll give you one example. The example is, for an aircraft to take off in the morning, this morning we had about 50 or 50 something, 55 takeoffs. But today we'll have 55 takeoffs and we'll have 55 landings here at JKIA. That's Kenya Airways, excluding Jambo Jet. Jambo Jet, you know how many landings, takeoffs you have? Maybe about 20 or so. Yeah, 28. So that's a lot of takeoffs. For each of those takeoffs, if I take Kenya Airways for instance, we need 100 people to do something so that that aircraft is able to take off. We need 100 people, I mean souls, not man hours, souls to do something. So whether it is someone at or the marshal or the groomers or someone sitting in IT doing something, or the check-in counters or the pilot or the, well, it's 100 people. It's a lot of people. So that one person in Kenya Airways serves 6 customers. In banking, for instance, one person serves 1,170. So it is very labor intensive. What I'm trying to say is that what you're doing, not many people can do. You're in a very specialized industry, and take advantage of the experience that is around you. And so in closing, I want to repeat, please continue speaking up. We will listen, and if we don't listen, remind us to listen, because sometimes we don't. I also want to encourage you to continue skilling yourselves up, learning. We have given you a lot of opportunities here, and there are many more outside. I don't know whether at some point CPO, that is Tom, will have an opportunity. But the latest opportunity we've given you is you can now have online university degree with the London Metropolitan University at very, very, very affordable rate. You would be foolish not to take advantage of that. I am actually myself enrolled. So I'm doing a master's degree. By the way, Fidel, wewe unajifanya tu in psychology. I'm also a psychologist myself. So I'm doing a master's in psychology, and take advantage. There's a lot of courses in aviation there, very specialized masters, even up to PhD. You want to do, and it's very affordable. So take advantage of that. So skill yourselves up, and then step up. You know, there's something that I used to be told when I was in GE, an American company. You can do many, many things, but if you don't raise your hand or raise your voice, be seen, nobody will know what you're doing. So step up, volunteer, do what Fidel is doing, you know, this kind of thing. Now I know his name, and I'm the CEO, so you know. Step up, volunteer, engage with other people so that you are seen, so that the talents that you have are exposed. Sawa. So with that, let us make this day a celebration and make sure that we continue to move from our 21% youth representation all the way up, and that will be fantastic. So thank you. Let us fly higher together. I thank you all.
Thank you. So that means when I get to do my master's in psychology, I have a classmate. And please also make sure your notes look nice so that I don't struggle when that time comes. Now, we've started the conversation, and because we have heard from the two main speakers, it's about discipline, working in silence. It's also about amplifying yourself. Sawa sawa. So don't just sit there in your department and you're just seated. Amplify whatever they're saying. They're saying if they don't listen today, we remind them tomorrow to listen. Sindio? And I want to go back because I can see one of my managers over here, and she happens to work in the department that has a lot of Gen Zs. So I want to give her 30 seconds and I want to fetch her mind. What does it mean to work with the young people, particularly Gen Zs? Ni ukweli si ni manga? Ni ukweli si tunasumbuanga ama tuni perception? Is it a stereotype? So you can just give her 30 seconds and your timer starts now. 30 seconds.
Morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Fidel has asked how ni manga, so I will reserve the comments. But working with the team at CC was exciting and has been exciting. Actually, when I look around, I've worked with so many people. For high innovation, I can see her here. When we are looking at how we make the CC a beautiful space, I've also worked with the team at IT, Fred. We have built a lot of technology with the Gen Z in IT, from automation and a lot of opportunities, ground services when we are doing the trainings. So what I can say, it depends on how you package yourself. As the speakers have said, it's not about the youth. I normally hear people talking about Gen Z, maybe in a negative connotation, but it is just how you package yourself. I've worked also with the management trainees. I can see them here in terms of process automation. So the brains are out there. So what I would challenge the management here is to identify the skills that we have, nurture the skills, give them the opportunity up to implementation. Fidel is somebody I hired as a team leader. So I'm happy to see him stand on that stage, and also quite a number of other young people. So for me, umanga iko, but it's how I manage it so that I'm able to achieve what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the main concept I wanted to introduce her and also get to understand her point of view, it's because most of the times we shy off as the young people. And we shy off because we'll be like, I'm a hataona content, you get? But if you listen to the three speakers who have spoken, and I want to also appreciate all the managers, the heads of, who are taking the young people and giving them an opportunity, that if you package yourself well, the future is yours. It's not about today, it's about the movement. So we are going on to the next bit, and we are going to be introducing the main speaker today. And two questions for you, Jimmy, as you come. When I'm going through and I'm reading a couple of things, because DTB has trusted you, I want you to tell me about the watches that you used to make for kids in school and how much it made you in terms of commercial. How much money you made from the watches that you made while still in school. And secondly, the amplifiers. Ulikuwa unasukanganya. So I also want you to tell us, because it's these small bits that make them who they are. If you listen to what Alan was saying, he says before we could get to where he is, it's a process, right? So it's a bit by bit. So when you come in, please, as you also do your speech, please also tell me about those two, so that I can also try and see if also there's an opportunity there. So ladies and gentlemen, let me see your hands like this as we welcome Jimmy to give us his nilikuwa naangalia wanyajeka mkono. Sawa sawa. Haya, let's go. We are going to do a hearty clap, the rain clap. Sawa sawa. Until Jimmy gets here. So let's go until Jimmy gets here. Thank you. So my name is James Mwangi. That's my official name, but popularly known as Jimmy Mwangi. I don't know where to start because I feel like the CEOs gave this topic quite justice. So first of all, maybe going back to where I started, because that's where I see being pushed to start from. So many years back, when I was a young man, probably 21, 22, I went to college, and when I joined college in Nairobi, I learned computer engineering back then. And as I did that course, there's something that I got interest of, and this was what he's saying, amplifiers. So having used matatus, I see now you are back. Gen Zs are bringing them back, the Nganyas. So those years we had number 9, 23, and I learned how to make amplifiers. And what I did, I started buying gadgets, not gadgets, components, electronic components. I could get resistors, transistors, ICs, PCBs. Okay, PCBs is those boards where the radio, the things are stuck, right? And I learned to make those amplifiers, which became very popular. If I continued that line, I think I would have been a producer by today of electronic gadgets. But before that, I think in high school, again, I think I've always been a person interested in technology. That's when I was repairing watches. I really can't remember where he got all this information from. But that's when I was repairing watches, and especially, we used to have some, Alan probably would know, that had music. Ilikuwa inafinya ndio inatoa sauti. And I became a very good person in repairing them as well. I sold, make some money. Yeah. But anyway, going back now to the story of today, and starting from those years, as I've said, I will do two things. First of all, we look at a lot at sustainability, the youth, history, and probably my own story as well. I think we have heard that from the CEOs, Alan and Karanja, talking about the youth and talking about opportunities. But two words stood for me, and one of them is discipline, right? That was repeated quite a lot. Discipline, step up. What was the other one? Amplifier. Okay. Yeah, so we amplify those two. Now, looking at discipline, and I can say my own life has been a life of discipline, I must say, Alan. And if you allow me to just... Kilash. Okay. So Kilash, my own life has been a life of discipline. And I can tell you, back to year 2000, I was a very young man, and all of a sudden I lost my mom, still in college, just going to college. And I finished college, started the job as I told you. But after working a bit in Nairobi, and I was employed by companies in telco, especially working for African Online and others, I found I was not getting enough. And that's it. It's a life of not settling for good enough. And with that, I said, I think Kenya is becoming too small for me. And I moved to South Africa back then, back in around 2005. And within that period that I was in South Africa, again, as a very young man, in a foreign land, not having anyone that I knew, I didn't know Kilash or anyone else in the corporate space. But I knew one thing, that determination and discipline will carry me through. I always remember the first interview I did in South Africa, and I met this one guy, an Indian guy in South Africa, South African Indian guy, who was leading a corporate. And he did a good interview, and we had a very good interview. But there was one condition in that for them to employ you. And this was, you must have a car and you must drive. Now, funny thing, I had bought a car in Kenya, but I didn't have a car in South Africa. I had just arrived, right? So I met this one Kenyan guy, and I told him, this is my problem. I don't have a car, but this job requires me to have a car. He's called Mungai. Those guys make plans, right? So the guy told me, you know what? You can use my car and you go to the interview with it. They will not ask you, because if you don't have a car tomorrow,
you'll still have the job. Otherwise, cars get accidents and they disappear. So I went with the car. Luckily, they didn't ask me whether it was mine or not. They saw me parking. I did the interview. But when the interview was done, a very good interview, the guy looks at me and says, you have a very good background, but you are not the person I'm looking for. Because I want someone who has very deep experience in Java. Fred, you know. And then I said, well, okay, well, I'm not a Java person, so clearly then we said goodbye. But when I stood to walk, he actually told me, no, Jimmy, there's something about you that I like, and I'll give you a try. So can you follow me? So I drove my car, followed him to the office, and he told me, from today, this is your desk. That's how I got my first job, by the way. Now, from getting that job and working in telco for many years, I think that was over 10 years in South Africa, I also, again, in the spirit of not finding good enough, I moved to banking. Kilash talked about banking and how many people one person serves. I've been in banking since 2016, starting in South Africa, then came back to Kenya, joined Equity Bank as a CIO. I worked with Fred as well in Equity, then moved to DTB, now as the Chief Information and Digital Officer. So that has been my journey, given opportunities, but through discipline as well. As I worked, I would also mention that I registered to study, right, as a young man. And I said, I'm still not done enough. I see the CEO, as he says, Kilash is still studying. I said, I will live a life of learning, committed to lifelong learning. So joined varsity back in South Africa. And the reason was one simple thing. Again, remember the determination I'm talking about, the focus, the discipline. When you are in a foreign land and you do not have papers for the country, for whoever has been outside Kenya knows that's a challenge. So I decided I'll get South African degrees. I ended up getting 4, right? I finished, did my master's, currently doing my PhD. Again, commitment to lifelong learning. I think if you follow me, because some of you might be, I think he has done some research. Just 2 days ago, I got a paper published, Palgrave Macmillan. Very good step, I must say, because those are things that academics look forward to. And that's what I'm saying, commitment, discipline, and focus. Now, today, as we look at this topic about you guys as the youth, the leaders of today, we said it's not tomorrow, right? You are leading. And one thing I like about Gen Zs, apart from what has been mentioned, is that you guys are leading and you are not asking for permission to lead, isn't it? Right? We have seen that. Now, that leadership is very, very critical, again, backed by discipline. Now, as you look at the future, we cannot look at future without looking at the past. I like one writer called Professor Noah Harari. How many people know him? Only me? Okay. There is a book called The Sapiens, a very good book if you want to read about history. He says, for you to understand the future, you must understand history. And then he has a book that says, I think one of the books starts by saying, humans live their lives through stories. So he elaborates a lot. And that's why he's a historian who talks a lot about technology. Now, if you look at his work, looking at Sapiens, he says, this history kind of tells us where we came from. Now, we are talking sustainability. We are talking youth empowerment. Now, that leaves me with 2 things. So if I think about sustainability first, let me start with the youth. The youth first. So Karanja, our CEO, mentioned the youth are, what percentage of the population? He talked of the years. 34? 18 to 34. What population is that in Kenya? 70 something, right? 75%. The median age in Kenya, he gave us the median age for Jumbo Jet, which was 32. Now, for Kenya is 19. If you look at the whole population. So what does that say about the future of the country and the things we need to spend our time on, the plans we need to form as corporates, as government as well? So the future of Kenya is not going to be built on the streets, and it's not going to be built on the corporate corridors. It will be built by the skills we have here, right? So when we talk about that as youth and we go to empowerment, then we ask ourselves, when we talk of empowerment, what does it mean, right? Who empowers you? Now, my word here for you and what I would like you to keep from today is empowerment is cultivated. It's not given by anybody. Nobody will come and tell you, now here I'm empowering you, right? You have to cultivate it. But how do we cultivate for this, empowerment? First of all, we have to think three things. And I like them because, mambo matatu, eh? So those three things, one is knowledge, right? So we again, I think Kilash talked about knowledge. And Kilash, yeah, I also agree, the name is very good. So Kilash talked about knowledge. Now, if you think knowledge, today, we are in a very interesting time around history. As again, I talked about history earlier, and we'll come back to that when I look at the revolutions and where we are. But if you go back and look at empowerment, at knowledge, I was not at knowledge. So if you look at knowledge, we are at a place where we need to build a lot of skills as a country, as a continent, right? Now, when you look at what was just, is it last week or last 2 weeks, where they said Kenya is #1 in using what? ChatGPT. Can we be the #1 country to influence the building of AI across the world? Yes, we can. What do we need to do? Create knowledge. How do we create knowledge? If Kilash would tell you, or Karanja, when they started their journey, there was no YouTube, right? They couldn't read online. We can. And we can actually own this and build skills that will drive. It's the one opportunity we have as young people. Thinking differently, leveraging technology, and of course, thinking security, right? So you need to build skills, that's knowledge. And it's not only from a technology point of view, it's also sustainability, because our natural resources are not recreating, isn't it? We say data is, Fred will tell you, data is the next oil. But oil is different. Mining oil is killing the earth, isn't it? But data doesn't kill, it generates. So we need to build skills, whether it's on data, on AI, on machine learning, on cybersecurity, but most importantly also on sustainability. And why am I saying that? If I look at history again, and where we started, the earth, 250 years ago, 250,000 years, 250 years ago, in the UK, we got a guy called James Watt. This is a guy who built the engine that Kilash is using to fly us across the world, right? That's where it started, steam engine. This steam engine was an excitement in UK and across the world. And why was that so? It changed the livelihoods of people. It changed how we lived our lives. We were now able to travel where horses would not have taken us. Not only that, goods were more available. We could buy goods at the shop. And apart from buying goods at the shop, we also, moving around, buying goods, got employment and all that. But there is one thing. On the other side, there was the ripple effect, right? What was the ripple effect? Whoever was very busy transforming our lives was also very busy eating our future, right? Because forests had to come down to create railways, roads, fuel. We had to go and mine to get coal that was fueling the same engine. And after that, we got second industrial revolution, we got the third industrial, then the fourth. There is an argument we are in the fifth. I don't know whether anyone agrees. Whether you have moved the fifth industrial revolution from the 2020s, especially looking at sustainability, the green tech, biotech, and all that, of course paired with AI. But some others argue, like academics, we still say we are in the fourth. But with all that, now I was talking of skills we need to build, because over the years, as these revolutions changed, we had to build new skills. A guy who was flourishing in the first industrial revolution probably fell off when it came to the second, the third, and the fourth, of course, isn't it? Because now the fourth is what resonates with what we are speaking about today. So I talked about knowledge. The second one is purpose. Why do we live? So as you work and as you start your career, whoever has been in career as well, even including me and the team this table, we still need to find purpose. Every morning we wake up, we have to look at what is the purpose, because why do I do what I do? Why does Jimmy go to work every day, right? Now, the question there about purpose is, how do we use that now? After I know me and I know what I can do, for us to create a sustainable future, to innovate sustainably, what is my purpose, right? Why do I do what I do? Because I always say, a career without direction or career without a purpose is wasted, isn't it? It's like a ship in the sea without a compass, right? So that purpose, very important. We said three things: knowledge, purpose, then we go the third one, collaboration, right? Flashback, and maybe you'll hear that a lot with some professors tell you, as you write your thesis, don't think you'll change the world, right? You will not change the world. But people who have moved the dial collaborated. I think we have all followed technology companies and how they started. Apple, Google, name them, in garages in the US. But was it done by one person? No. Normally it was a team. 2 guys came together, 3 guys, co-founders, typed until the morning, worked a lot to get things moving, and now today we see the outcome. So I do believe we are in that juncture as a continent. We have an opportunity from our youthful population. Having a median age of 19 is just not a statistic. And this is where focus should be. And very much thanking KQ for organizing this event. And I'm definitely showing their commitment to sustainability. Because sustainability is not about planting trees. It's about building solutions that outlive us, right? Sustainably, of course. Because you don't just build businesses today, you look at how do you change way longer than my own lifetime. How many years do we live today? Somebody says 60. Hey, 60 is young, guys. Let's add it a bit. You know, before when we were younger, we thought Jesus died at 33. That guy was old. Then you got there, you're like, oh, that guy was young, right? So very much looking at that sustainability, our effort to it. And having now said all that, as we work today, as we look at how do we do what we do best, how do we find ourselves, our mission, our purpose, and then how do we influence others? So as I mentioned about my years back in South Africa, I think I was introduced to one thing called black tax. Black tax, eh? And the reason is black tax, and I've had that word now coming and following me in Kenya a lot. People talk about black tax. This is a word because coined, I believe, in South Africa because of the white population do not have the load black population has. Because for them, in most cases, when they were born, the parents had wealth, and that wealth is passed down generations. As in most cases, we start from scratch, right? We have to build ourselves. Remember what I said? Growing up in Nyandarua, I didn't mention that part. You can add that to the story. I'm sure it was probably there as well. Growing up in Nyandarua, seeing the lack of basic facilities. Coming to Nairobi, moving to Johannesburg, working across the world in different cities. One thing I have seen is our commitment as a continent, and especially as young people, the youth. You know, I also work with Gen Zs. I have a lot of developers in the office at DTB. And Gen Zs, I must say, very creative people. And guess what? You cannot innovate without creativity, isn't it? Ideas meet creativity, that's when you innovate. So as we look at innovation, every one of us has a string of innovation. Innovate, innovate, innovate. Kilash said, talk to us, we will listen. You guys have, again, you are the young generation of probably the generation of today, right? I don't think any other generation is working. The other one are small. And remember, you also have a task to influence them and teach the ones that come after you. They are calling them Gen Alphas. And if you think Gen Zs are bad, wait for Gen Alpha, right? That will also come with its own challenges because every generation must be better than the previous generation. So as we find ourselves, find our purpose, get to, grow in our careers, be present, that was also a word, be seen, do work. And if you allow me, CEO, I'll also mention that as you said, step up, and you talked about persistence. I think that's a word I was looking for when you said amplifier. Persistence, right? Because as you persist, sometimes your effort is not seen. Don't get frustrated. And I've seen one thing that youth do. They say, oh, I'm doing so much. I'm underpaid. Now I want more money. No, it's a bad way to start it, right? You work until somebody actually sees, because your hard work is visible. Your persistence is very critical. So where I was saying, if I'm allowed, I'll tell you, is with that journey I told you about my life in SA, so I ended up working as a techie, deep techie. You know, techie people do, you know, when CEO got to IT, he didn't say what IT does. He said they do something, right? That was the word. Everybody else, he defined what they do, but IT does something. Now, that doing something, a CEO is what I did for many years back in SA as a techie. But then one day, the company I was working for was bought by Tata India. And I worked with the Indian group for some time. And one day, the head of Tata, who is now the president in Europe, called me and he said, I have worked with you. I've looked at what you do. I've seen your interaction with people. And I think I need to move you to management. Bwana Karanja, I was not very happy with that, because I was like, no, I don't talk to people, I talk to systems. He insisted and he told me, no, I will get skills from India to do technology, but I need managers. So I need you to now learn how to work. Not learn, but I want you to move and speak to people because you're good at it. I started, and I must say that was the first or the turn of my career, Fred. That's when I became a manager, and now I don't open servers. I don't know how they look. I don't even have a login to systems. I don't even touch money in the bank. But I do one thing, I lead. So as I was saying, talking earlier about the youth, the Gen Zs, I think very creative. We have built very interesting products for the bank. We are supporting fintechs as well. So I'm working with youth or Gen Zs in the bank and outside the bank. So a lot of young people have taken leadership. We got an example of one, Irene, but a lot of them I've worked with also are running what we call fintechs. So your influence and how you influence people as your peers as well, and as you probably understand the landscape of fintechs, is a place that we have a lot of opening for the youth. So at DTB, one thing we have done, we have built very, very robust system that actually supports these fintechs. They connect to us, we deploy our license as a bank, and they are able to do transactions as if they are providing banking services. So that's what fintech is about. Just think M-Pesa in a smaller scale, driven by the youthful population. So I have seen the endless creativity, and I cannot wait, probably 20 years from now, to see what you guys would have created. A bigger KQ, bigger jumbo jet, bigger yourselves, because we remember what we said, understand yourself, believe in yourself before Kilash believes in you, right? By the way, if you don't believe in yourself, you won't. That's guaranteed. So for you to step up, you have to believe in yourself. You have to be confident. You have to learn, build skills. You have to collaborate and have a purpose, isn't it? That's what we said. So that is my conclusion, saying let us all commit to lifelong learning. Very, very important. So I think with that, I will close. And I'm very, very delighted to be here. Should have started with that at the beginning, but we'll say it at the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jimmy. So I hope you got the 3 key points. That empowerment is cultivated, all right? And you cultivate it through knowledge, purpose, and collaboration, all right? So we are moving on to the next step. But before we could proceed to the next step, I want to invite Kilash. I think I'll patent that name so that because anytime you use it, I can also get some commercial benefits from it so that it goes in history. Yeah. I also want the 2 main speakers that we've had today, that's Karanja Ndegwa and Jimmy also. We want to appreciate them because of the concise, detailed, and breathtaking inspiration that they've given us. So Karanja and Jimmy, please. Thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause for the good words. Now, amidst ourselves, we have different people from different quarters, right? So let me see the guys from JM. A round of applause to the people from JM. Let me see the people who came from outstation. If you came from outstation, yeah, you can just stand. Let's just hear where you came from. And then you can just come. A minute, come. Just come and just say where you came from. Yeah. Clap for them as they come. Yeah. I mean, it's just 1 minute, all of you. So 30 seconds.
Good morning, all. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm Emma, coming from Malawi, Lilongwe Station. I'm from commercial sales. It is a pleasure meeting with the CEO. It is a pleasure from my end. I thank you for everything, and I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Malawi.
Hi everyone, my name is Fleury Baruta. I came from Kigali, Rwanda, and work in commercial. I do ticketing and have a team that I lead. And it's a pleasure to be here and a good opportunity for everyone. And we've heard so much from people who have been more experienced than we are. And we hope that we carry that in our daily life to probably see ourselves in your chairs in a few days to come. Thank you.
Finally.
Hello everyone. This is Ruth from Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. I'm working for Kenya Airways as a travel advisor. I'm really happy that I'm joining you guys to celebrate International Young's Day. And I want to say thank you for the advice from our CEO and for all of you. I hope we will work better for the future of Kenya Airways. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, as you also go to the various countries that you represent, please also take the good vibes that you've seen from the youths here at Kenya. So, we are moving on to the next setup for the panelists. And I want to introduce one of our management trainees by the name, sorry, just a minute. I'm still happy because Jimmy told me my shoes looks nice. So when he told me that, I got confused a bit. So thank you so much, Jimmy, because he said it's like we are twinning. So we are going to go to the next step. The next step is going to be led by Abigail. Abigail is one of our management trainees. So Abigail is going to introduce the panelists as also we go into a more conversative. I want it to be more conversation, right? So it's not about the panel, it's about us as the youth, customizing it and making it work for us. Sawa sawa. So a hearty clap for Abigail as she introduces her panel.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome again to the International Youth Day Forum. Now, today's panel discussion is going to be on corporate and leadership growth in workspaces. But before we get into the discussion, I find myself thinking, what really is leadership? Now, leadership is often a term that we use it everywhere and we hear it every time, but it resonates differently to each and every one of us. Some say that leaders are born, while others insist that leaders are made. But personally, I think that a leader is someone who has a mix of personality traits, life experiences, is a product of mentorship and intentional growth. And that's what we're here to explore today. In the corporate world, leadership is no longer about holding a fancy title. It's about influence, adaptability, empathy, and the ability to inspire others. Today's conversation is going to lead us through the real journeys, lessons, challenges, and mistakes that have shaped our panelists into the leaders that they are. Allow me to welcome the panelists to the stage. I have Fred Kitunga, Chief Information and Data Officer with over 29 years of working experience, driving innovation and digital transformation in the aviation sector. Welcome, Fred. I have Catherine Muraga, Managing Director at Microsoft ADC and Engineering Director with over 22 years of working experience leading cutting-edge tech development across Africa. And finally, I have Meshak Lumumba, Head of Commercial Finance, East Africa and South Africa at British America Tobacco, with over 15 years of working experience managing financial strategy and business growth across regions. Can you guys hear us? Okay, let's warm up the room with a quick pop quiz to the panelists, and there are no wrong answers here. So, when you were a child, what was your dream career, and is that what you're doing right now? I'll start with you, Catherine.
Hi everyone, thank you, Abigail. My dream career was, I always used to love physics and figuring out how things work. So I'm in the right place because I ended up studying computer science and I'm creating magic using technology.
Wonderful. What about you, Meshak?
Good morning, everybody. So when I was a child, I wanted to be a doctor, specifically a surgeon. But as life goes, I had to change my career because of the opportunities in university at that point, and now I'm in finance.
Nice. Finally, you, Fred.
Good morning, everyone. Not far from my colleague here. When I was young, I aspired to be a pharmacist. That's in medical world. But when I grew up, I think there was a lot of double intakes in universities. I ended up doing engineering. But I don't think I'm too far off because I'm a doctor of computers. Thank you.
I love that. And it's funny to see how our journeys, take different turns and they evolve and become what we didn't expect, which actually leads perfectly to my next question. And this goes to you, Fred. Many young professionals are told to start wherever they can, even in roles outside their career paths, and work their way up. From your journey, how have those early or unexpected roles helped shape your mindset and leadership skills?
Thank you, Abigail, for that reflective question. Like I said, I trained as an engineer in the university, and I came out thinking I'm very sharp, have a lot of knowledge in engineering and all that. But when I got to look for a job, during our times it was not very hard as it is right now. I landed a job first in an engineering firm. and the job was to be a project manager for engineering projects, and that was a job that I did with passion. But then again, since I was looking for money, I had to do the job first. And the job was about inspecting projects, and the kind of projects we were doing was rehabilitation or refurbishment of code rooms. And code rooms are for food, also for other stuff, and also for expired people. So I would end up sometimes inspecting code rooms for expired people, and that is not what really I wanted to do. So at first it was a very humbling experience, but I got on getting a lot of accolades from the team leader or the boss who was managing me, and then that inspired me, and that humility told me something about just waiting. A lot of the speakers here first talked about resilience and patience, so that gave me patience, and quickly I moved into utility company, the only utility company for power in this country. And I didn't start high. I started as a IT help desk support person. Again, very humbling experience because I was carrying machines. In fact, one time I was going for training, I remember, in the US. I went to get a visa so that I can get training, and I was trying to whisper to the guy, if you've been to the US embassy before, they used to shout when you're getting a visa. So then if you know, if you've been there before, those days, then they will say, I'm an IT engineer, something. Then what do you physically do? That was a question. Then I didn't want people to hear what I do because I was carrying computers and printers. So I said, okay, this may be the chance only to get the visa. So I said, I lift switches. Switches are those network switches. I lift printers, and I take them to racks, and I mount them, and I configure them. The lady gave me, he told me, passed, and I got a passport. So really, it's not about to get shy of what you start with, because that taught me a lot of experience. So what I would say, those are some of to come back to your question, some of the things that you need to do. And like most speakers who before here have said, don't despise humble beginnings. You grow with them, and you drive your purpose from there. I was focused to becoming a tech leader or something. So really that didn't deny me the opportunity. And not to take a long story, is just shaping that. I started training, skilling up myself in areas that would help me to become what I need to be, in security, in network management and other things, and also in applications. So out of that, I learned many other things. It gave me an opportunity to learn, and I scaled up. So those small jobs that you start with, don't call them small. They are what shape you to become what you need to be. They teach you the humility, the resilience, the persistence. And out of that, you learn a lot of things, and then you grow up later. So you step up as you grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Fred. And that's really inspiring to the youths that are seated here and also online, that, the humble beginnings really matter. And I still want to pose the same question to Catherine. How did you start? Did you really start also as a techie, or did you start from somewhere?
First of all, I forgot to mention that I'm an alumni of Kenya Airways. I have walked that hall, and I remember this place. I have fond memories. Shirika, we call it Shirika la Ndege. I don't know what it's called today. Before I come to your question, and one of the things, I'm finding it hard to call the group CEO Kilash, but I think he gave us permission. One of the things Kilash talked about is that he's also considering, did you say you've enrolled to go back to school? And this Pride Center taught, one of the things I remembered is being taught about leadership in your introduction remarks. Leadership starts with self, then you're taught how to lead a team and lead teams. I just segued a bit to just talk about the importance of being here, this session, and this Pride Center. I have fond memories. To your question, I agree with Fred, we should never despise humble beginnings. My first job, I earned a lot of money, 9,000 Kenya shillings. And it's one of those things, you receive the offer letter, you're like, I wish there was only an extra zero. But with that 9,000, I did a lot. to your opening remarks, what is leadership? I often say I was born into leadership. I'm the eldest in a family of 5. And of course, along the path, I have sat under the feet of mentors, coaches, supervisors who have then filled my cup in terms of leadership. And in that, my first job, that 9,000 shillings, my supervisor opened the door for me and told me, it's great you have a computer science degree, but if you really want to grow, here is a set of other certificates you can enroll and also grow your CV. Now, one exam was 4,500. I used to commute every day from town to Rongai. Ngata Rongai is far. It used to be further because the road infrastructure is not what it is today. My point is that 9,000 salary, 4,500 is going to certificates. I had to sit 10 exams. The pain of, if I fail this exam, imeenda. I'm like, I can't. So that 9,000 salary, school fees, to sit the exams, bus fare, is what then was a very strong foundation to where I am today, because I build on further. The world of technology, it helps if you continue to be a lifelong learner. The other thing I wanted to mention, when you look at my CV, I've changed roles severally and in different industries. By the time I joined Kenya Airways, I had done a 6-year stint at East Africa breweries. And it's very easy to ask yourself, what skill set surely can you bring from a beer manufacturing environment to an aviation? But there's a lot. And one of the things that I've learned to do, because I've changed roles severally, as I've mentioned, and in different industries, is always having a beginner's mindset. Coming in here and saying, I do not know, and it is okay. It is okay not to know. Because I've worked in beer manufacturing, aviation, banking was my longest, and then now in technology. But there's always along the way things you can transfer. For example, when I started, yes, I did those certifications, 4,500. One of the things it taught me, your employer might not always have the budget to train you, but you earn money. Go back to your pocket. Because ultimately, career is personal. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's a great reminder that where you start doesn't have to determine where you finish. But of course, the journey isn't without a few bumps and meanders, which brings me to the next question. Meshach, you've worked across different regions within Africa. Tell us about a challenge you have faced in the workspace and how you navigated it.
Okay, so working in different cultures and different people, the biggest challenge for me across the markets, because the first time I worked outside Kenya was in Rwanda, Kigali. I saw somebody from Kigali. Those are one of the best years of my life in terms of interacting with people who have a different background, different way of thinking. And it taught me a lot of things that when you are used to one thing and one set of mindset, you tend to approach everything with one set of ideas and one set of approach. So going to a different market, different people, they give you different ideas and a different way of thinking. So the biggest challenge for me initially was to adapt from my normal way of working. You are pushing, you try and influence by force, and trying to move to influence through collaboration. And when I was in Rwanda, when I was in South Africa, it is more about collaboration. It's more about bringing people across and influencing using soft power. So biggest challenge was to adapt and to understand that people have different backgrounds and every background matters, and it's better for you to influence and adapt to different environments.
Thank you so much, Meshach. You know, challenges are really the classroom environment that gets us out of that. It makes us actually do more to actually, as you said, adapt as youths. We need to also learn to collaborate. And Fred, what kind of a challenge do you think you faced when it comes to your journey into leadership?
Okay. Quite a number of challenges, of course, is clash, if you allow me to say that, because at this stage, it's talked about saying your say. You must say what you want to say. And the generation that I am coming from, we were taught to listen more than to speak. So that was a big challenge. Overcoming that, I did part of my schooling in the rural eastern part of the country. Then I had to come to Nairobi for my degree, and of course there are things that followed. But then overcoming that stigma, if I may call it that, of saying your say, because if you don't know, say what you are supposed to, then nobody will know you. So I am getting too deep in what you are doing and not able to express it. So that was one of the challenges that I had. But then I had to learn. It took me a while, but then because of obstacles, you keep on trying until you get it. So I kept on trying, and I managed to overcome that over time. So for the youth, what I challenge them here is, because that's something that I've really seen can pin you down and can stall you, is learn to speak, learn to say what you're doing, and don't think you are not good enough. I mean, you'll be surprised. I usually tell people come to my office that age is a number. Sometimes you may find we all respect those who are of my age or older than me, okay, my age and maybe that group, they may also lack substance. So you may need also to challenge them. So learn to challenge, because status quo. And that's something that I really had a challenge with. It's a big one. The other one is just, and the speakers talked about it, Jimmy, Karancha, and Alan, about having focus. You want to try many things. Like I said, I wanted to be, first, my passion was to be a pharmacist. Then I changed to engineering. Then trying to see, then at some point I wanted to be a pilot at some point. So, look at one thing that you want to have impact on. So don't spread too much, because when you spread too thin, then you are not impactful. So those are two things that really I can say were challenges. In a corporate world, nothing is given for free. You must speak for it. You must ask about it. So I have learned ways to overcome them. One is also identify mentors. Solution for that is to have mentorship at very right age or the right time, so that you don't stall. If you don't have them, chances that you are going to float a little bit before you get where you want to be is quite easy. So I challenge the youth today here, please have a mentor, a career mentor who will teach you, who will guide you, because experience is never taught in school. You learn it. And you don't have to learn if there are people who have made mistakes and can help you learn that. So yeah, among many others, but those are the two key ones that I can say. Abigail, thank you.
Thank you so much. So we've learned about being impactful, being adaptable, challenging the status quo, which, as we are doing that as youths, I'd like to go to you, Catherine, and ask you, how can youth begin building credibility and influence from where they are, even without a title or years of experience?
Thanks, Abigail. I think for me, I'll start off by stewardship. What is it that you have right now and what can you do? For example, if you read the Bible, David was telling you, what did you learn about it that then was transferred when you were there? What is that thing that you currently have in the time period that you have, and what can you do? Even as you have aspirations, that's one. The second item, I know we often talk about being proactive, still under stewardship. One of the things that most Kenyans have are side hustles. I don't know about your moonlighting policy, but it is okay to have a side hustle as long as it doesn't conflict with your line of work. But why introduce side hustle under stewardship is because what is that trait that we learn in side hustle? It's entrepreneurship. So imagine the magic when you bring the entrepreneurship mindset, even in a corporate setting. Your approach to problems and being more solution oriented improves, as opposed to somebody who doesn't have that inclination from a business perspective. Because when you're in business, you sit down and ask yourself, I don't have the budget to hire all these people, but I need a solution to this. And that's a mindset, that's the opportunity we can get just by tapping into what is that thing that truly makes us Kenyans, or even Africans, that then we can bring to an organization, as much as perhaps you don't have the big title. But back to stewardship, yes, what is that you have in you? What are you doing with it? And still under that, if you already have a side hustle, what are those skills that you're learning from an entrepreneurship perspective? How do you show up internally as an entrepreneur? And also, because work doesn't happen in isolation, work happens in life and life happens in work. They're integrated. You find also, perhaps in life, you coach kids, maybe you're a Sunday school teacher, maybe you're the chairperson of your chama. There are many things. I heard there's a hiking club here. Maybe also part of your hobbies, you belong to a club. What skills are you learning there that can you bring to the workplace that then can amplify your influence or impact? I'll give a last one. When I was growing in the leadership cadre, one of the things I realized is I'd acquired a lot of knowledge, but my delivery was poor. So I'd be called into stages and I'm told, come, and especially, I don't know how many firstborns are here. Let me digress a bit. Any firstborns in the house? You have family meeting, they invited you, say, oh, Kilash, come and say another. Oh, Kilash, come and give vote of that. Those opportunities, I used to be that person, and I'd hear all of nerves. I'm like, not here. So I still the moment I said, take on part. You know, thinking of being invited to meetings. Like, for example, if I didn't do that, I'd have received this invitation and I think I have the time back. But I would have turned it down. Yes, it is good to speak up, but how about also the investment? How do you show up and how do you prepare? How do you ensure your how do you manage your life? Because I'm sure all of you have there's a bit of nervous, but you can't tell.
Thank you. I think that resonates me personally. But that goes straight up to Meshach. Meshach, you have been a big champion of mentorship, but let's flip it. You know, how can reverse mentorship, where younger professionals guide senior leaders, accelerate leadership growth for both sides?
First, in terms of mentorship, I believe mentorship is one of the most powerful tools available to young people in terms of accelerating your growth, accelerating leadership qualities in terms of development, and also learning from those people who have gone before you. And I don't look at mentorship only from a corporate side, but also from a life side. You don't consider mentorship just from a work perspective, also from life, because we are going to be future parents, we're going to be future leaders, as you have talked about your chama, your family, and mentorship helps you to know from people who have walked ahead of you and accelerate your learning by bridging the gap and reducing that gap between you and learning. Now, coming to reverse mentorship, it enables the senior executives in an organization to bridge the gap with the young people and to know what are the emerging trends, what is going on now, what is the generational gap, what is this perception that we have about Gen Z, is it true or not? And what I've seen in the organization that I work in, it has been institutionalized in terms of mentorship. And all senior leaders are usually paired with either interns or young leaders who are coming into the organization. And we've seen a big impact in terms of technology. I am a beneficiary from an AI perspective. I used to believe AI is something that is happening out there. But when I was paired with a reverse mentorship opportunity, I was taught about AI, how to increase your productivity, how to utilize this tool. And the only way for you to learn as a senior leader is to be paired as you impact from a mentoring point of view, also learning from the young people what is new, how can you improve yourself in the senior leader. Do you have a warped view now about the generations that are coming after, and what do they have to offer? So when you are paired with the younger generations, I believe reverse mentorship is quite a big tool. Now, I am a product of mentorship throughout my life and my career. My first mentor was my father. And I like the way you've talked about things that you do in the past that you don't know how they're going to affect you in the future. Small things that you enact, you start a small business, you do a car wash, you are a Sunday school leader. I have done most of those things. And when you're doing those activities, you cannot connect the dots. And you can only connect the dots backwards when you are at a situation in the future where you can pick this learning. So for me, mentorship started in the house, where I was taught about hard work. You have to put in the 10,000 hours, you have to deepen your skill, and hard work always pays. Even if you have talent, if you don't have hard work, at the end of the day, they'll get to a point in time where your talent does not mitigate people who are working hard. And as I grew through the career, I always remember, put in the hours, learn the skill, understand, and as you develop those skills through that mentorship, you're also able to produce. And where I am now, I still have mentors around the world in terms of bridging the gap. What can I do from a leadership perspective? How can I pass the ladder down? Being a young leader in the organization, how do you pass the ladder down, train younger generations coming up who are looking up to you, and also how do you reverse mentor as you empower the senior leaders that are engaging with you? So for me, both mentorship from mentor to mentee and also reverse mentorship are quite important tools to bridge the gap of learning and leadership development.
Thank you so much, Meshach. And that's a refreshing perspective that, mentorship is a two-way street. The older generation has something to learn from the younger generation, and we too can also learn something from them. Fred, this is to you. I'd love to hear what in your space as Chief Information and Data Officer, how are you actively including young minds into key decision-making processes, and how are you incorporating them as young leaders in your space?
Thank you, Abigail, again for that question. Let me start by saying that in technology in Kenya Airways, I think some would say they have the largest number of Gen Zs, and that was Catherine. We also have the largest number of Gen Zs in my team. Out of the 100+ people, 60% of them are in the age bracket of 21 to 34. So that's a big number, and you can say that it could be the 60s. And most of them are developers, software engineers, data engineers, security experts, and also the people who are doing what we call the run the business technology. So what I normally ask my team is, why should people be led by you? Because that's very important for me. What is this that comes out? Why should you say you are a leader? So, and if they're coming, then again, the other thing that I do is I like volunteership. When someone lifts their name and says is here, can say it, I give opportunity to anybody who volunteers themselves other than being pointed to. Because when you volunteer, the attitude is right. And there is no school for attitude. It's yourself. So once somebody has that attitude, the rest is just training them. So I look for opportunity for people who are volunteering themselves. Am I saying the right thing, Stacy? She is nodding yes. So that is very true, because if you volunteer, no matter how difficult, there is AI you can learn, and you can be encouraged on what things to learn. So that's the first thing for me. The second thing is when I have engagements with the team, because most of them are young and they are leaders, and they are managers, is why should that team you're leading be led by you? What are the things that you are bringing? What's your purpose? Of course, the things that were said. Do you have the resilience required? Do you have even the need, the tenacity to want to learn new things? So that's very important. So that people can understand you are not just a number there. You are not just being picked or being coerced into leadership. So if someone answers the Gen Zs that I have those questions correctly, and of course over time you look at them, and even if they don't know how to lead, you help them to learn. So a mix of that, and of course working, I don't see Tom here, with the HR department, Thomas left, to identify opportunities for training them on leadership, on management. We have a course here we call Manager 101, which is very impactful. Anybody who has gone for that course, they come out saying now they know why they should lead. That, of course, we pair them again with people. We have a mentorship program. They also come in, and then they can you choose. But we have a system that helps to log in as a volunteership for mentorship, and people can come in and train with you. So that again, the other thing I do is just encouraging people to learn. We have lots of training that are either driven by the company or by the opportunities that we have for partnerships. Again, we also encourage training based on people volunteering themselves to train. So, and then challenging them. The other thing is, if Abigail, I may say, is just, we have, and it's not mine, it's a borrowed principle. I call it working backwards, what people call agile. Go to the business, sit with the business, identify a need, and provide a solution. That is a purpose-driven kind of leadership. So why should people lead you? Why should people be led by you? Then the other thing is, are you a volunteer first? Maybe that should come first. Then again, helping them to nurture those leadership skills. That's how we involve. And surprisingly, we've seen a lot of young people coming up with a very impactful initiative that they have led the teams to do, and they have done what is almost was looking impossible in the old legacy way of looking at things here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fred. And the youths that are seated right here, mmesikia ni kujituma. Giving yourself that, that volunteership and just saying, I'm ready to learn from other people. And I'll go to you, Meshach. Tell us about a mistake that you've made in your journey and what would you have done differently?
Okay, thank you for that. Before I joined BAT, I was in the audit firms, and I joined straight from campus after doing a couple of internships and work around, and I picked a couple of skills in my previous, before I started formal employment. I did some businesses, entrepreneurship, some internships across different sectors. So when I joined the audit firm, which is predominantly a service industry, I had a different assumption in terms of how organizations should work and how my career should move. And I think I made two mistakes is, one, assuming that people know what I want and they already understand how I want to shape my career without me telling or talking about it. And then having only one person who can speak for you. Yeah. So as I developed through the organization, I was just putting my head down and working hard and assuming that as I work hard, everybody knows that I'm working hard, everybody knows what I can do, and the opportunities will come. So that was my biggest mistake, which I picked up from it, that at the end of the day, always learn to speak up, always learn to make your intentions, your plans clear to people who can influence decisions, and ensure that you diversify, and not diversify from politicking or just having hot air and talking, but diversify by having impactful interactions with multiple senior leaders. So if, as an example, you're somebody who is in a certain department and you have cross-functional projects that impact multiple levels of people, and you're able to articulate yourself and you're able to show what you can do across multiple senior leaders, then it enables and unlocks your growth in the future, because many people can say, I've seen what you can do and I've seen what you can produce. And also speaking up in terms of your career and what you expect, you don't end up in situations where you didn't anticipate to be. Let's say, for example, my career, I wanted to be in finance and I'm being mapped into data science, as an example, because I didn't say, and because I was doing a lot of good work in data science, everybody assumes that I want to develop in data science. So always speak up, always put your development plans clear, and this is the most important thing about mentorship. It guides you in terms of how do you articulate, how do you put your ideas across and your career paths.
Thank you so much for that, Meshach. And it's really inspiring to hear our leaders talk about mistakes openly. It makes success feel very authentic and real. And sometimes those lessons point us to a new chapter. So I'll go to you, Catherine. When and how did you know that it was time to transition to your next role?
I was hoping you'd ask me the one on mistakes.
Oh, really?
I think, and I'll still come to that. I'll keep it short.
Yeah.
Maybe let me not call it mistakes. What have I learned? One of the things that I learned is it's always important to know the business of the business. The group CEO gave some statistics here, the number of people it takes to ensure X number of aircrafts leave each day. And then also, because it's a public listed company, when the results are announced, do you get to know how are those numbers arrived at? How does Kenya Airways make money? And also connecting dots. And even extending it further, because no man or no business is an island. What are the geopolitical tensions and what is the impact from an aviation perspective? So, lesson, learn the business about the business. Number 2, approaching things, and I guess maybe it's because I have a techie mind, systems thinking. So for example, why is there traffic? Maybe if there's traffic coming to Pride Center, it's very easy to just say, let's unblock. Maybe it's the guards taking time to inspect the cars. But what is the real issue? Is that the real issue why there's normally traffic? So it's looking at things and digging deep and asking at least 5 whys. And by there I learned those principles here. What was your question to me again?
How did you know it was time to transition to the next role?
Nice. Number one, bad bosses or tough bosses. We will all have an encounters with those bosses who will become a prayer item. Yes. But one of the things that I've also learned, even when, because you won't get along with everyone, you can't be vanilla ice cream that is loved broadly by everyone. What did I learn from that bad boss, even before I started mapping out my exit? Because some tough bosses perhaps are also challenging an area of development. So for me, it became an exit plan to say, yes, as much as I'm exiting, why is this manager so tough on me on this area? Is it an area I need to pay attention to from a career development plan perspective? Another key motivator has been, I am drawn, naturally I'm a creator or a builder. I get attracted to roles that give me a white canvas or there's a lot of chaos. There are a lot of processes broken and there's need for order. So the moment I realize, chaos are done, processes are sorted, dashboards are up, that is a cue to leave. But how did I get there? Courtesy of taking many assessments to really understand self. Why am I drawn to chaos? Why do I love order? What is it that really gives me the excitement? What is it that gives me fulfillment in the job? So when those things are done, then I know it's time. And then lastly, continuously checking in. I always have a career development plan, and it's important to have one. And also continuously sharing it with a mentor or an ally or a sponsor, and having people who always keep you honest and saying, now Catherine, you've reached the area that you wanted to reach, what's next? Yeah. But also having those conversations well ahead. So a combination of those three.
Thank you so much for that. And, sometimes the boldest moves towards career often come with unexpected results. Like, you don't know what you're going to expect when you're going wherever you're going. And which leads me to our last round of question to the panelists. You've interacted with the youth in your teams, in your spaces, in your roles. What type of qualities do you think will define the next generation of corporate leaders in one sentence? I'll start with you, Fred.
Okay, thank you. Let me say first, although you said one sentence, I'm not sure I can do one sentence. It's the current crop or the current workforce is intergenerational, all sorts of people. And I'll talk like a technology person now. I think one of the key shapers will be digital fluency. Just learn a skill. There's AI, like everybody has said. Learn something. If it's in cybersecurity, learn something. Get deep enough, not too deep, but deep enough to help you to have context. Because again, there's a challenge of going too deep because you can get muddled there and then you lose focus about what is up. So get deep enough to be able to assert influence or leadership. The other one is collaboration, and I think Jimmy put it very well. Collaborate with others, because once you collaborate, you are answering human or life problems. So when you collaborate, you know what are the needs of the people. So collaboration, skill of collaboration. Many times techies are talking to computers. They don't know how to talk to people. So now that can deny you the art of collaboration. Learn it. The other skill, and I must say this one, it was a mistake for me. I learned it later in life, and I'm still honing it, is storytelling. Catherine has talked about it in a high level. Learn the art of storytelling. My boss here is my mentor on that, I must say. He knows how to, you can throw an antelope, and out of that antelope, there's a whole story around it. And I love that. That's something I'm really learning, and it's something that I encourage the youth to learn. Don't just think ML, AI, and I don't know what else, SIBO, and I don't know all those difficult terms. Sometimes to business, they may not make a lot of sense. So learn how to interpret those technical deep details into a way that, so in a way, because you say one sentence, just learn the art of storytelling. How do you interpret that into a way that people can speak to you in English? I want to stop there. There are many more, but it's one sentence you said. I don't know where you put the comma. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go next to you, Meshach.
Okay, so before I go to my comment, I think I want to pick something from your comment in terms of why you leave work. But it's more of a lesson that I always picked. I picked when I had a bad boss, is the 25% life rule. That in life, everybody you meet will fall under 4 categories. The first 25% of people you meet in all walks of life will like you immediately, and they will like you no matter what you do. So it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter who you are, they will just like you. The second 25% of people you meet, they will like you, but once they get to know you, they might stop liking you or hate you. The next category is people who you meet, they're very tough. It seems like they hate you. But once you get to know them, you find that they really like you and they want the best out of you. And there's one category that no matter what you do, it doesn't matter, they will continue hating you. So once you have that perspective in life, you always are able to navigate interactions and people and situations so that you don't carry things in your heart, because it doesn't matter if somebody's in the last category, it doesn't matter what you do, they will never appreciate or like you. So you navigate and find ways of going through that. And that brings me to my comment of leadership, that always have the right attitude, because without the right attitude, you can never learn, you can never pick experiences, you can never influence, because everything we learn from people, and having the right attitude goes a long way.
Thank you. Lastly, Catherine.
I will pick the cue from the two. They didn't answer in one sentence. I think for me, it goes back to, I'll take it back to the organization I work for, Microsoft. We are leading in terms of deployment and democratizing the use of artificial intelligence. And when you find time using favorite search engine, look for a report on the frontier farm. What it talks about, and to answer your question, what is the next set crop of leaders? What's that thing that, one thing that I would say we need to remember as leaders, it's about people. People first. You come to work, colleagues are people. Businesses operate to give a return to a shareholder, those are people. Businesses serve customers, those are people. People operate in an environment. So also remembering we really need this earth and we need to be good custodians of it. But back to people and the relationship with AI. The same way today, it's very easy for you to spin off a PowerPoint presentation or Excel. A time will come, that will be the ease at which we'll be deploying artificial intelligent agents. So we will all have agents, digital agents that we work with. But it's very easy if we borrow from how, say for example, WhatsApp, TikTok. At times you get the impression that just because I texted you on WhatsApp, Abigail, we've been chatting, it can give one the impression, or it abstracts that connection. I think that's one thing as leaders, whichever spectrum, we must remember we are leading human beings, not human things, which is what agents are. So to summarize, it's about people.
Thank you so much to our panelists, and I'd like to open the floor to our audience. 2 questions, please. Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Wendy Yokach. I'm a lawyer and I work in the legal department at Kenya Airways. My question is to you, Catherine. As ladies, I want to know, basically for the career-driven women, and we want it all basically in life. In terms of social networks, we want the family life, we also want to have the career for ourselves. So to get where you are right now, did one aspect of your life suffer, and did it have to suffer?
Yes, go ahead.
That's a fantastic question. I think for me, I would look at it in terms of, because life happens in seasons, it's the conscious decision to, first of all, appreciate what season am I in and what decisions then do I need to make. But also before we talk about seasons, it's also going back to part of self-awareness, zooming in and understanding what is your software? What are those things you hold dear, or what I like to call irreducible minimums? I'll give an example. There was a time when my children were less than 3 years, and I got a job that had the right amount of zeros at the end. But there was a catch. The amount of travel away from home. Yet part of my reducible minimum was, I want to be an intentional parent. So it's just making that decision to say, in this season, the zeros make sense, the travel is great, but I want to be an intentional parent. So seasons. Another way is also to look at it and say, even in this season as an intentional parent, and time is very important, what else am I doing with that time? Because there's a stage when, and I'll just use the example of parenting, it could also be many things. There's a time in a child's life, they just want ministry of presence. They know you're in the room, but they're not really playing with you. So what are you doing with that time while you're on your phone? And it's a message I also speak to in different forums with ladies. There's so much content you can learn just using your phone as an example. Flipping it, because at times, it's not always about parenting children. You can also be in a season where you're taking care of elderly parents. So how do you balance that? Again, it goes back to what's your software? What is your irreducible minimum? My short answer, we can have it all, but not at the same time. And that's not my quote. I think it's either Michelle Obama or one of these amazing women leaders. I highly recommend you read. There's a book by the former chairperson and CEO of PepsiCo, Indra Nooyi. She talks about her life, and you just get to appreciate the value of having a village. We're really blessed here in Kenya because we can afford, it's easy to afford childcare, so that when you're busy pushing long hours in the office, you have a good nanny, for example. It also helps if you have a supportive spouse, and it works both ways, male and female. And also, let me touch on a sensitive one there, because at times you might find in a home setting, perhaps it's a lady whose career is thriving. Yeah. But there's also room for the men's to support. And there are numerous examples. We just don't talk often about it. But there are numerous examples where you have great partners who tell you, you know what? Since the provision has come through you, the female, let's support. Let's align the village to really grow the basket in terms from a wealth perspective. Yeah. So a roundabout answer, summarized, we can have it all, but not at the same time. And also, secondly, appreciating seasons. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Those are powerful words. One last question.
So, hi guys. So my name is Eugene from KQ. I work under HR. So I have a question to the panelists. So as a HR, there's a way, okay, before I became HR, I think I did HR as my main course in campus, but I also did software engineering. I did financial evaluation. I was gambling. I wanted to see what will work. Then I got a job in HR. I settled. But along the way, you meet people, friends. You find there's an engineer. I have a friend here, he's an engineer. I have a friend in data. You see the chums they're getting. You understand? So you're always unsure, is it the right time to switch to another career? Can I be a data analyst? I have a friend, Samuel, he's looking at you guys. Yeah, you'll see an engineer has just gone to Kenya Airways. Good chums, yeah. Maybe I'm in HR, I'm getting something small, but if I compare, I can also get this. So at what time do you feel like you're confident in your career? Like, how do you feel like maybe I can do this and believe that one day it's going to get me where I want? Thank you.
Okay, Meshach or Fred?
But Meshach will come. Thanks, Eugene. You view the data, but you have a secrecy oath, right? I believe. So I have one maxim, and this is from the Holy Book, the Bible. All things are possible only if you believe. So doesn't matter if you believe where you start. So and then it's followed by another one closely. God, contentment is and godliness is a greater gain. When you are content and you're focused on that, when you mix the two, for me that works, because I say I cannot be paid like Lash, for instance, because he does a bigger job than I do, or whatever it is. So you look at that and say, where can I be consistent, and I believe that I can achieve it. So there's an aspect of contentment and focus that I would encourage. The other thing is then once you are there, and the maxim I've used has worked for me is all things are possible only if you believe. What you think you may not be able to achieve in that portfolio, you can really scale and grow, because there's an opportunity to scale and grow. It's about step change. I tell a lot of people because I mentor youth sometimes, life is not a lift, it's a staircase. So climb the staircase, because if you go live through a lift, chances that you can come down stumbling are quite high. But if you go through the staircase, there will be railways in the flights, and you'll be able to support yourself. So I don't know whether I've answered you, but that's how I look at it. Thank you.
Okay, before we close with the deep remarks, what I can talk about is my experience also. So when I was in campus, I started some internships, and I also came here in Pride Center. At that time, I wanted to be a pilot. I was doing economics, I was doing accounting, I was gambling like you, whichever works, where the money comes in. And the money was not coming in. And my first job, my salary was lunch. So I used to work at Kenya Power, full day, and you're doing a lot of work. It was on the impressed department, where you dispatch travel and entertainment for the people. So it's cash handling, it's a cash office, but I'm paid lunch. Yeah. So at that point in time, I was like, what is career? What is this? And during that time, when we came to the Pride Center to do the assessments for the old pilots program, we were 4 guys in campus, and one of us made it. And within a short time, they're already earning money while you are still studying, and significant amounts of money. They've bought a car, they're coming to pick you from campus, and you feel the pressure that, am I in the right path? And during that time, what I decided to do was to invest in myself and to see in this career, it's a marathon. It's like a footballer who plays between the age of 20 and 25, earns their full life earnings during that period. And then from that, there's no money that comes out. And then somebody who came through the career, and you've grown through the organization, and you get to a point where you're almost the same salary, but yours is spread over a longer period of time. But it's more you focusing on what you want in terms of your career development. There are many people in the field that you're in that are making those tunes, but it took time in terms of learning, adding your value, bringing your difference, and then as you grow through the organization, as we have talked about the stairs, you get to a point where you earn that kind of money and you're able to develop. So it's more of being patient and knowing that every person has their own season and it's a different journey.
I agree with what they're saying, but I'd also like to add, and I like that you're in HR. One of the things that I've learned, every role has a entry level, mid, and upper band for that salary. One of the things I learned is always do your homework in terms of, are you being paid at the top? It matters. And why I introduce this component is because we've chosen to earn our living through corporate. Might as well chase to be paid well. Yes, I know jobs are elusive, but also nowadays, and when I see you, I'm not pushing your attrition numbers here. Some of the things that have propelled people to change jobs is when you look at your career goals, you're acing it, but your wealth goals, you're not making back. One of the routes is actually to change jobs if you have the transferable skills. Again, yes, invest in your skill set, do your homework, find out where the high-paying roles, because these things are also cyclical, and be true to yourself in terms of even chasing that career, because not all top-paying jobs also bring happiness. You can be paid a lot of money, but you don't sleep.
Thank you so much. Yes, Kilash.
I've seen some few hands. I thought it was the last question. That's why I
Yeah.
said, yeah, but I've seen a few other questions. So I just wanted to, I don't want to contradict or whatever, but I wanted to, first of all, thank these panelists for being very authentic and really speaking a lot of truths. I actually am repeating so that it's to emphasize a point that even I am learning, listening to them. For example, Jimmy spoke about purpose. Now, I want to propose to you that that is something you really want to make sure you're clear about. Because if you don't clearly understand your purpose, and therefore you don't understand your identity, you'll navigate life wondering whether you're being paid more or less or this or that. You'll have those questions that Eugene is asking. Understand your purpose. It's very important. And again, it's not something you just sleep and wake up and then you're clear. It's something you really need to search. Right, Jimmy? So I just wanted to emphasize that point. I also wanted to emphasize the point about lifelong learning. So every time you have an opportunity like this, and I sit here, I've been taking notes to learn what is new that I don't know already, or what is being emphasized that I probably forgot, and how can I apply it? Have an attitude of learning. That way you grow. I mean, you're talking about growth. Nobody knows everything, right? In fact, a good trait of leadership, one question you asked Abigail, is someone who has a long life attitude of learning, wanting to learn new things or expand the knowledge that they already have. Then two last ones is on mentorship. If you do not have a mentor, you'd better look for one. And be careful the kind of mentor you're looking for. Look for someone that you probably want to aspire to be like. I have a mentor. In fact, I'm supposed to have many. But the reason I don't have many is because I'm choosing very carefully the kind of people who should speak into my life. So my current, let me call him principal mentor, because there can be many. He's called Dr. Reverend Dennis Tongoi. And I really admire him. He has 3 children like me. He's been he's been there longer than me. He's raised them well. And then from a career perspective, he's a successful business person. And also spiritually, he's a good guide for me. So look for mentors who you aspire to be like. But mentorship is not only those people who have been ahead of you. I have also peer mentors as well. I have mentioned before, some of you know, that I have a Thursday morning meeting with my peers, the ones we have a meeting of minds. And in that Thursday morning meeting, it's breakfast meeting. We share experiences, we challenge each other and encourage each other. It's part of mentorship. Every Thursday. Now, of course, not some Thursdays I'm busy and sometimes they're busy, but we do that. And then there is reverse mentorship that, Mesh was talking to as well. And it starts, for example, Mesh talked about his father being a mentor. My children are also my mentors. There was a time I sat them down and we were asking them questions around particularly young people. What should we learn from you, young people, that we're not learning quickly enough? And they talk to me and they tell me, you shouldn't say this. One of the things they told me is stop saying you're old. That's another lesson I learned from my young people. And then even from you, just listening to you, talking to me. There was a time I even used to have lunch with a few of you so that, I can learn something that from your perspective as well. And then lastly, and I really like this one, I think this came from Catherine, people. I always say people are people. It sounds like a redundant statement, but think about it deeply. People are people. They're not things, they're not numbers. People are people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'd like to wind down because of time, and we have another session. Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. Just one item that I would want to state. Time is perishable. It's 2025. By 2035, you'll not be a youth. So it will be a different panel. You will not be invited for this session. So time is perishable. January started, now we're already in August, going towards December. And with the time that you have, the opportunity that you have is to make the best out of it, because it's a season that you are in. And once that time passes, there are things that you could do today, that you can do today, that you'll not be able to do in another 3-4 years. So my challenge is that youth comes in and moves very fast to the next stage. That is, once, najua the way tunasemanga marikiti ni mapema. By saa 3 jua ikigonga hiyo mboga, kuna mtu hata. So the thing is that it's your prime, and that time moves and moves very fast.
So thank you so much to our panelists for giving us a glimpse into your journeys as leaders. And from what I'm hearing from today's discussion is that corporate and leadership growth is not a linear path. It's full of highs and lows, and both are part of the processes that will shape us to be the leaders that we are meant to be. And to the youth, one day we'll get a chance to inspire the next generation to also choose their own path and write their own story. Thank you so much.
A round of applause just before you leave. A round of applause to Abigail and the panelists. That was well coordinated. So we can just stand and we get one photo. So this is me. This is me trying to. Thank you. So I want to invite Karanja to come and also give some appreciation to the panelists. So, tunawapanga. Yes. So I want to invite Karanja to come and also give a token of appreciation to the panelists for the good job that they have done, as well as also to the moderator. So yeah, you'll just come on the front seats, on the, yeah. A round of applause. Then now you can have the final photo for the three panelists together with the CEO. Say cheese. Great, nice. So far, are you guys learning something? I was so interested with the question on chums. You know, chums. When we talk about money, and then I was so keen to understand, but the bottom line, the takeaway home was purpose. All right? So you might go south, uko chini, north, but purpose. Once you get your purpose, everything else aligns. Now, because we've sat for quite some time, and it's now midday, I want to take you back again, back in the nursery. When it used to reach noontime, saa sita, there's a song we used to do. Nasikia sauti. 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 Haya, now let's stand. We have to shake kidogo. In Kenyan setup for a Gen Z, eating is called kutimbua. Say kutimbua. Yes. Now that stretch kidogo. Now I want you to clap with me. Let's go. 1. Nasikia sauti. 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 Sasa ni saa. Sasa ni saa. Kwaheri. Kwaheri. Hey. Do you have first ones? Have you guys started singing ballerina, cappuccino, tung tung sahur? Nice. So we want to move on to the next panel. We want to move on to the next panel so that we may be able to wrap it up in good time. And the next panel is going to be led by one of our good people over here. Just a minute. Let me just put this phone up. All right. So the next panel is going to be led by Paul. And I want to welcome Paul to give us the panelists as well as run with this event real quick so that we may be able to do some TikTok challenges after here. Sawa sawa. TikTok challenges, reels. We are going to the social media and us today. If we do not trend on Twitter, Paul. Thank you.
It's an amazing morning. Still morning, right? You can have your seats. You can have your seats. Afternoon. It's an amazing afternoon. Let me take that back. I always like to identify myself with the hiking team. I'm trying to look, try to find actually if we have hikers away from Alan. And the cycling team. Actually, those are one of the best clubs. For those who know, we are here. Why? Because actually, identifying them actually gives me more reason to stay warm in such a weather. For this session, basically going to indulge much more on the youth, the opportunities that they have to explore on the emerging investment trends in various industries, and how innovation is basically shaping on the future, and also currently in our today's world. And our panelists, we have amongst us Anastasia Chege. Anastasia, let's put our hands together for Anastasia. The head of technology and risks security in Kenya Airways, where she leads the airline enterprise-wide cyber security and compliance initiatives. Second, we do have Moses Mwiti. Mr. Moses Mwiti. Moses Mwiti is our program manager. He's a program manager for Safran, where he supports African airlines with a total care for passenger seat solutions. So we definitely have someone who will give us more insight on how we are going to proceed much more to increase on the returns on our end. And finally, we do have Mr. Samuel Njoroge, who's our senior data scientist with us. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Samuel. Samuel is a senior data scientist at Kenya Airways with over 5 years of experience in applying advanced analytics, machine learning, natural language process to solve business challenges. Now that we have our panelists sat with us today, we'll just like to start basically with a general understanding of the same. A question which goes all around. Where we are today as a country, as a people, where do you think we are in terms of our indulgence into the cyberspace and the community, which is actually upcoming? How far are we? Are we still where we used to be, or there's a major improvement on the same? Will you start with Anastasia?
Okay, so I'll say there's been a major improvement in terms of cybersecurity. I remember in the university I was in, we were the first graduate of cybersecurity. So now more universities are now offering the courses. People are now taking an interest. Many are self-taught. So we've basically really improved in the region, especially in Africa in terms of cybersecurity. So I think we've grown. I think right now we are 7 out of 10. I think there's still a lot that we need to learn, of course, but I think we've really progressed well as a country in the cyberspace.
Okay, let's proceed to Mr. Mwete.
Hi, everyone. Before I answer the question, I'll probably ask ourselves, what is an airline? And where do we see ourselves in the next 10 years? How would you see an airline and how would you define it then? A lot of changes have happened in the airline itself. I guess it started off as a legacy airline. We've seen changes in aviation space, introduction of low-cost carriers, and these are the innovation we are talking about in aviation. How I'd pretty define an airline is in terms of a resource-based view. An airline is a collection of resources, human, technology, equipment, and all this is coordinated together to achieve a flight. And how this has been coordinated over time is what has changed. We've been coordinating it in a legacy way, and I look forward to the next 10 years of how a future airline will be coordinated in a different kind of way. And that's the kind of discussion that I'm really looking forward to. Thank you.
That's amazing. We can actually proceed to Samuel Njoroge. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here in front of you to share the knowledge that I have amassed in work. So I'll talk about the progress we are making in terms of internet accessibility. And I was checking on some news from the World Data Lab on an index called Internet Poverty. I think in Kenya we are at 35% on internet poverty. So a majority of our population can access internet, and through the access to internet, we can create data and good use of it or bad use of it. So over the years, we have made progress, and now with the revolutions that have taken place, we are currently in the AI revolution being spearheaded by the young people. Thank you.
Amazing. Now, in Swahili, we always have this statement, usichokijua ni kama usiku wa giza. Basically, what you don't know is much more of a dark night. With the panelists that we have today, I'd like us to get us to light in regards to what we deal with. Let's start with Anastasia. In regards to cybersecurity, we clearly know, definitely it's something which is in the common public domain, that the freshbies, the newbies, us, the young people, actually have more indulgence and knowledge skill set compared to our pioneers in this space. What is this set of skills actually which we can actually have and actually which can help us to break through the walls of you don't have enough experience to be here? Umekuja juzi. How well can we be able actually to break through?
Okay, so to break through takes a lot of guts. For me myself, I'm young, and people come to you, how are you ahead of security? So to date, still something, but you need to know cybersecurity is a very new area, and most of the people who are experts and the best hackers that are out there are actually self-taught. So if we keep limiting ourselves and looking at a certain mold, so we say that we want someone who has 3 years of experience and you want them to have been in a different corporate before they come to Kenya Airways, I think it's not really so possible, because you want to nurture talent. Because if you end up telling this person that they don't have the expertise, trust and believe that they'll go and actually use their skills in a malicious way. Because you have a lot of now cybersecurity groups and hackers who are basically hacking for malicious intent. So if we continue on the same space of saying, you have to fit a certain mold, I think we won't progress the youth into these kind of jobs. I believe we need to take the risk. I was also a pioneer in my area when I started my job. I remember I used to walk around with a book and a pen. There was very little you could learn at that time of cybersecurity. But if my mentor had not taken a chance on me and I didn't have the experience at the time, I don't think I would have really grown in my career. So even if you look at my team, they look very different. They are very young people who have a lot of ideas, and I learned from them a lot. And they don't fit the normal mold. And there's always this narration that cybersecurity has a shortage of people. But the shortage is created by us as corporates. we need to look beyond the expertise, look beyond the years of experience, look at the capabilities, be capability driven. What's this person able to do? If someone comes to you, and I have someone on my team who told me they can hack a fridge, and I remember I hired him based on just that, the fact that he told me he could hack a fridge. And I've never had anything like that, but I took a risk, and that's something that I think we need to drive leaders to see. It's not always about that expertise that you held. It's something new that you're bringing to the table, and not only in cybersecurity, in any field. Anything needs a new perspective. Minds are changing, generations are changing. So always need to look at people in a different way, be capability driven as opposed to looking at expertise in terms of years of experience.
That's interesting. Cyber security. We'll get back to that. Let's go to Mr. Moses. As a founder of Kabian Engineering, I think I've mentioned it right, yeah? We do have new technologies and apps nowadays coming each and every day.
Yeah.
I was actually amazed to see that we do have some fluffy tech. That there's a water bottle which actually gives you notifications in regards to how you're taking it. Rather than you can actually observe a water bottle and observe the water levels. We don't see the use of having notifications. You are given the notification, you've taken a number of ons of water. And we also have, away from running, cycling and everything, we have apps which regulate the same. Now, we do have an app which regulates your productivity in a questionable manner. What is a questionable manner? The number of blinks on your eye. Now, these are these are things which are being developed. How can we move from all this to actually develop stuff which are productive to us and actually which help us to navigate properly and to develop new stuff which are valuable on our sites?
Thank you for the question. It's a very interesting question. And I'm surprised that you know about the Kabian part. Probably I start with a background of what I've done and probably who am I at this point. I am an enthusiast of aviation. I fell in love with aviation when I was very young, when I was in high school. Straight out of high school, I started flying. That was my first point. I started out as a pilot. But I think I got my license before I got my ID. And I remember when I was going out and I was being frozen, I would produce a pilot license. Then I was called to university to do engineering. Called to KQ to work as an engineer. I've worked in Kenya Airways for around 8 years. I left Kenya Airways and started my company as a consultant offering engineering services. And that's where Kabian come in. What I'll probably say is that you need to really first understand yourself. And when you can do many things, like I say, I've done many things, but those are not what the things that you define you. The same thing goes with when you're developing solutions. When you're developing solutions, you find that there are a lot of solutions out there, but the first question you need to ask is, what is the problem? You find that these are two sides of a coin, products and problems. If I just ask a quick question, how many, we're talking about AI, how many AI solutions do you know out there? Maybe if you can just quickly name and I see how many I can get from the crowd. I'll take ChatGPT out of that. How many AI solutions are you aware of? What does that do? Those are two. Copilot, that's by Microsoft.
We have DeepSeek.
DeepSeek, okay, that's okay, another large language. Yeah. So, Gemini, yes, that's a Google kind of large language module. So you find that solutions are out there and there are many. You've only mentioned probably large language modules, which are the ChatGPTs that integrate text and analyze them. They're like super intelligent librarians that go out there and find the exact kind of thing that you'd need and even build data on it. Of course, there are image kind of modules. We have Leonardo. We have sound also in AI. We have Suno. So we have all these tools out there. And you, as a youth or an entrepreneur, your work, number one objective is to identify a problem Identify a problem that you can solve. That's key. Whenever you have a product that doesn't solve a problem, then you have a problem yourself. You always have to start with a problem. You always have to see where is the gap. What is the gap that I need to fill? And that's where skills come in. You need to have the skills to identify gaps in your areas where you work. You need to have the skills and the technology to know that, okay, these guys are photocopying this document and then typing it out. There's an OCR tool that can read characters and then, so you always have to have this issue of matching problems to products out there. The second thing you need to do when you're developing solutions, because I know there's a lot of tech out there, you always have to ask yourself, what does the user think about this? Any plan can be flat-footed by the first question the customer asks. You can have a wonderful product and then the customer says, can it do this? And you just figure out that you cannot, and you're back to the drawing board. So you always have to keep the customer in mind, because they are the ones that are going to use your product. And then finally, when you're evaluating solutions out there, it's most important, or when you're even building solutions as an entrepreneur, it's always important to think long-term, think sustainable, think about how the end would look like, but don't get lost in it. Start off with an MVP, like a minimum viable product of your whole big solution, and start building on it bit by bit, agile. You reiterate and you reiterate with a minimal viable product. So those are the three core steps I'll talk about: problem and product, and then user first, and then finally scalability and a minimum viable product. Thank you.
There's a deep insight on the same. Now, Mr. Samuel Njoroge, you have a rich background in data science. Basically, you're a data scientist. What do you think? What do you think actually? How could we personally, considering how could we as a youth in the aviation industry, in the travel industry, how could we use data to solve one annoying problem? Sorry, if you could use data, how could you solve one annoying problem in air travel forever? So at least we are done with it, with all this knowledge that we have all around.
Thank you. That's a good question. I think I'll start with where youth stands in the current transformation. We had revolutions from agrarian, which was basically domestication of plants and animals. Then we had another one, which was scientific. We had the guys like Galileo on a telescope. These are fellas aged between 40 and 60. Then we had industrial. Industry started now having young people driving innovation, the likes of James Watt on steam engine. I think the guy was 29 years old. Then we got into another revolution, the 20th century. The drivers were the likes of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, again in their 20s. Currently, this revolution is an AI revolution. Again, it's being spearheaded by young people our age. If you are up to date, what's happening is a discussion on the most expensive hire in history. That is Alexander, hired by Meta, and his company sold to Meta at $14 billion. And the other fellows who are being hired for talent are being paid around 100 million. So these are young people, but what is common is they have an interest in what is happening, so they're updated. They are upskilling in the line of AI, and actually the most interesting thing is like they know each other, so there's collaboration. In the aviation industry, I think one of the pressing issues is cost, and every airline is operated on cost. And the cost dynamics here is in terms of logistics. So I think an opportunity is something like route optimization, whereby you go on a route because it's profitable to you and serves your customer best in terms of arrival and departure times.
That's epic. Anastasia, you are in a place where people look up to you for solutions. We have one young person or many young people who are looking forward to be where you are. as a person who have been there, we say kwa ground vitu ni tofauti. Yeah, things look good on paper, but on ground they are different. What is this set of skills and standards that any young person who's cyber skilled, talented would actually have to be able to penetrate properly and sit himself at the better and a worthy place in this amazing organization and all these cyber opportunities that we have around?
Thank you for that question. So cybersecurity has a lot of research behind it. You teach yourself a lot. You need to be someone who's very analytical. You need to learn, the recent trends. You have to keep, always reading. Even after later on, even where I am right now, I still have to keep catching up. So I don't know if to go too technical, but you need to understand how operating systems work. So operating systems means how your Windows works, your Linux works. You need to understand the basics of how IT, the very building blocks of how IT works, so that you're able to build upon that. Because you won't be able to secure a system if you don't know exactly how it works and what points that a hacker is able to basically infiltrate. One thing that I've really admired with the people I've met throughout my career is that they always have something new that they're bringing to the table. And someone always finds a way to either infiltrate something that has never been infiltrated before. Like recently, there was a research done at DEF CON, and they said they have been able to infiltrate a system called TCAS that runs on aeroplanes. So they are trying to basically see how to hack a plane. So it's unable to tell you when you're nearing collision, for example. So you see, when you're able to identify such risks, you see us as cybersecurity experts are able to fix those risks. So you're actually changing the world in a way. So that that tenacity of questioning everything, being analytical, learning a lot. Now we're in the age of AI. You can learn so much from cybersecurity on AI. And you're able to teach yourselves ways to, basically secure. Because security has two folds. You're either you can be an ethical hacker, you can be a governance risk and compliance is someone who does policy. You can be someone who's a defender, so meaning you're on the defensive side, so you're defending the network from all these attacks that come to us every day. So you have to look at how to perfect your skill. Most of the things I've learned, even through the certifications and school, some of them I learned through applying myself. So always apply yourself and learn things on the side. It's a way to continuously build your skill. I urge people and any young person that cybersecurity is very lucrative. It's a very demanding job. There's a shortage of skills, so corporates are unable to hire in regards to now the number of attacks that they're seeing every day. So it's something I would really urge the youth to join. It's something I take a risk and I bring people on board who have never been in cybersecurity before. Like I can see Sarah and Tony there, the back. So they've come and they've been able to learn cybersecurity. They don't have a background in it, but they've come on board and they've learned. So it's very interesting, and it's something that I'd urge anyone to do. Once you start it, it's just so much fun. Every day is a new threat. Every day there's a new attack. Every day there's some type of infiltration. So it's something I think I'd urge many people to join. Yeah, so I think I'd say that.
On that breath, I'm getting informed that we have our panelist who had not arrived, Mr. Maxwell Mukaria. Mr. Maxwell Mukaria, let's put our hands together for Mr. Maxwell. Mr. Maxwell is the Chief Executive Officer of Cycle Africa, basically a person who puts people on two wheels. Welcome, Mr. Maxwell. Karibu. So we are proceeding on well. I'd like to go to Mr. Moses. Now, under Saffron group of companies, what is this a must-have feature for the next generation of seats, considering that you're actually elaborating and dealing with different type and different levels of airlines and carriers? What is this one must-have feature in the upcoming future in regards to the aviation industry, the aircraft that we are having, that every aircraft seat will definitely have in future?
Okay, that's an interesting one. I wasn't expecting that one. Yeah, so I consult for Safran Seats. They are a large French-based manufacturer. Our seats are in the Dreamliner, the 737s, and the Embraer. The Safran Group also manufactures landing gear, engines. We're basically the second biggest manufacturer that is not an aircraft manufacturer. So when Boeing puts together an aircraft, we are the background to put seats in it, to put galleys, and to put many other equipments in there. One of the key things we look at as a group, we are always trying to be forward thinking. We are always looking at a 10, 20-year milestone of where aviation would be. So that's what I'll probably challenge you. We are always looking at because our seats now, the seats that are flying now were designed, because the 787 was, Kenya Airways picked the 787, I think, in 2014. So in 2014, before Kenya Airways got that aircraft, I'd say 3 years early, they already put an order. They already discussed with Safran. So those seats are more than 20 years old in terms of our design. So the current seats we are working on are seats that are probably going to be used in the 2040s, 2030s going forward. So probably looking at, not to say it plainly, but how to squeeze more passengers, because that's what airlines want. They want more legroom and less pitch. So pitch is the distance between two seats. They want to reduce that, and they want to make the passengers more comfortable. Airlines are always coming to us, asking us for lighter material. And this is an engineering challenge because they want lighter material and they want it to last longer. So they want longevity, they want it to run longer. And we find that we are always doing material science, researching to find out what is light and what can stay on for long. And then the seat is the largest passenger touch point. When you're in an aircraft for 8 hours, you probably spend 7.5 in the seat. So we are always working with technology integrators to see how we can keep this passenger in the seat longer and more comfortably. So we're working with what you call IFE guys, in-flight entertainment. We're working with guys that have connectivity to offer internet on the aircraft. How do we deliver content to a passenger? So those are the different dimensions that we are looking at and trying to reimagine this passenger and how this passenger will look like in the next 10, 20 years. Thank you.
Epic. That is epic. Bwana Maxwell, karibu sana. We are happy to see you. I'd like to, considering I've actually checked through your company, Cycle Africa. Amazing, amazing stuff. I'm saying this because I'm one of the cyclists, so it's actually so much applicable to the same. Your company is mainly about green rides and community vibes, positive community vibes. With tech and innovation, sustainability, all married together in the same. As an individual who leads this amazing organization, where do you see the hottest investment trends that can turn youth from just using the solution that you're actually providing to actually building and leading the same on their own personal index?
Again, now I think I'm good. About Cycle Africa, again, we've been in the business for the last 15 years. And when we started the business, the major purpose of starting the business was to make people smile more. We say you can't frown when you're in a bike. And again, about sustainability, we joined into that wave by getting more butts in the saddle. And you're seeing so many people organizing groups which can lead to people moving together. It's a sense of community, and it has a bigger effect in sustainability, reducing carbon footprint. But coming together as groups is what we're seeing being the major thing that we're pushing. Yes.
That's amazing. We had the end of, just want to follow up on the same, the end of Tour de France, just the other day, an amazing, epic moment. That happens in a different continent. We are here in Africa, and we are the young people. We'd like to see more of the same. Basically, how are you plugging the youth into the green rides movement and making them the drivers of the change to indulge them more into the same as your conversation that you just mentioned?
Again, mentioning Tour de France, this is, for those who don't know, it's like World Cup in the cycling world. And this is majorly. In Europe, it's a major thing. But in Africa, we've been lagging behind because of several factors. But now the environment is changing. Again, to take you a different route, Cycle Africa, we started manufacturing our bikes in China. And in that angle, you get Chinese telling you, we see Africa in 10 years will be where Europe is. They keep telling you what we are seeing 10 years ago in China is what is happening in Africa now. So in the next 10 years, we can see that Africa is the one that will be carrying the biggest influence in most industries. Let's say cycling, let's say manufacturing, let's say consumption. It's everything based in Africa. And actually, this is a big wake-up call that I saw, whereby we are looking at ourselves as consumers, whereas the world is looking at us as where the world is going. And for us, if we kind of don't realize that everybody's coming this way, we'll end up lagging behind even in the future. Tour de France, as you mentioned, we have, like, in September, we have an event in the UCI event in Rwanda, meaning people have started actually coming this way. And we'll see more and more people plugging in into different businesses, pushing for opportunities to Africa.
That's amazing. On the last set of questions to our panelists, I'll start from the end, Mr. Mukaria. So basically, where is the smart money in tech and sustainability that can flip the youth from basically consuming the products to now using the tech and advancement in bicycles? We've seen bikes. I came to realize that we have bikes actually which don't use the aerodynamic cable bike braking system, so the gear adjustments. They just all charged up and you actually keep on moving. They don't solemnly rely on that. They actually charge on a basic solar system. Kindly proceed.
Technology in business. Recently, like from last year, something I came to realize, I was pushing a business. I've been pushing my business for the longest time alone, until at some point I met some other 3 Kenyans in China, and we were like, why don't we partner? We all have different strengths. I'm really good at some areas, they're good in different areas. And one thing we came to see that is changing businesses here and in different countries, it's technology. For example, we have started automating a lot of our businesses. And here in the country, we've been looking for people to hire. This is even an opportunity. If anyone knows or is familiar with make.com and NA10, these are automation tools where it helps us reduce our operations. And to the current position where we are, we've been interviewing people for the last 3 months, looking for people to hire. We can't get enough. And the youths we have, or the people we have here, it's a challenge. Why don't you look at what the current market is looking for? Again, automation, that will be a major key. If anyone can learn things about automation, reducing number of employees in organizations, it helps us run smoothly. And I think that's an opportunity that people can jump into.
That's amazing. That's epic on the same. Actually, it drives us on to innovating and actually having new technology, which actually help us directly as users of the same. Anastasia, you had mentioned something about cyber safety. As a country, as youth, we have the black hats and the white hats, have ethical and unethical hackers. How safe are we as users of the technology and basically innovators, as per se, when you are dealing with all this cyberspace and all indulge in the same?
So Kenya does top in terms of the cyber threats that are targeted towards our country. And this is because we've really taken up a lot of technology in different areas, whether it's in banking, aviation. So we see a lot of cyber threats. So for example, in KQ today, we see about 30 attempts per day of course, they are blocked off, but we see 30 attempts per day. And if you look on a global scale, and actually this was from a report from IMF and Bloomberg, if you were to basically categorize cybercrime, it would come number 3 after China by 10.5 trillion GDP. That's how much money that's being made globally from cybercrime. So in the same breath, we'd say that cybercrime is definitely something that's on the rise, and we are definitely not safe. And then you need to also look at aspects like AI. Now you're able to automate different types of attacks. Some people are not even full experts, but they're able to use AI, learn, and then are able to now attack different kinds of corporates and organizations and their systems. So we are not really safe. It's a very serious risk that we hold. I think you've seen the various airlines that have been targeted the last couple of weeks. Recently was Air France and KLM, who are also targeted. And it just puts into perspective that cybersecurity is something we need to really think about. It's something very serious and that's affecting companies globally. And then back to your point in terms of black hats and white hats, I think there's a need to mentor the youth. So going into campuses, high schools, primary schools, telling them that there's the good side to cybersecurity. You don't have to be a black hat to basically make it. And a black hat means basically a bad guy or a hacker. You can move to the white side, or what we call ourselves the white hats, and defend various corporates, like the way we defend Kenya Airways and the various corporates that are out there. So it's something I'd really challenge the youth to take up. If you want guidance and mentorship, I'm willing to offer that together with my team. And it's important. And I know we've reached to a point where aviation safety has really taken it's at the top of everyone's mind. But also cybercrime is now becoming very, it's affecting a lot of airlines. Now cybersecurity groups are now targeting airlines because we've fallen short in terms of cybersecurity controls if we compare ourselves like to banks. So yes, there is a need, and no, we are not safe. I see it every day. I see the attempts that even come to our network as KQ, and it's quite serious. And at least we are now able to adopt also innovation to help us defend the network. Yeah, so but we are definitely not safe. That's for sure. Yeah.
That's amazing. At least now we know the steps that you guys are taking to be able to keep us safe on that cyberspace. Finally, on our question, before we proceed on to the audience to bring in at least 2 to 3 questions, I would like to know from our panelists. AI is here with us, and it's actually a common notion that AI is here to stay. Is AI replacing our jobs? Is it getting us out of our offices? And do we really, in the future, and with us, do we really require the human intervention in regards to how we interact and how we get products out of the same? Mr. Mwiti?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I got lost a bit thinking about it. Now, AI, new as it is evolving. And there's something called agentic AI or AI agents. So think of AI as a super smart librarian with all this big data we've amassed. And this librarian is able to write their own books. Not only read like what Google used to do and go out and tell you if you search on, let's say, airlines, it will bring you 100 search results on airlines. This agent is able to also tell you, based on the 100 searches and 100 books it's read, on what it believes an airline is. These AI agents can be given roles. AI agents can be given roles, and if you want to really interact with an AI agent like ChatGPT, you give it a role. You tell it first, you are a 10-year, you are an excellent writer with 10 years experience in writing poems. You've written poems that have won awards. That's how you condition AI first, before you go and prompt it to tell you what you want it to do. And the same model goes for many other AI tools, even image processing AI tools. You tell them, you are a great artist, you've drawn this and you are an expert in drawing cars, then you tell it, kindly draw for me. So number one, as much as I see AI bringing in a lot of, what do I say, AI agents replacing some of the functions that we are doing. So you can have, like the OpenAI CEO, the OpenAI is what made ChatGPT. He talks of, we are coming to an age where we can have one-man company, one-man multi-billion-dollar companies. So you can be one man running a company with 20 or 30 AI agents under you. But still, he does mention the need of that one man to offer direction and strategy and sort of creativity to these AI agents. So a bit of yes and no. We need to get into the space where we understand what AI can do for us. That's important. We need to get to the space where we understand, we're in aviation, to understand the value chain around aviation, like who supplies what, who's my customer, who's my supplier, and how can I improve their pain, how can I improve their current situation by solving problems for them. And then we need to think about, okay, what AI agent can I employ? And you can be that one-man company where you're actually a PR firm on your own. You know, you can create a whole trailer. If you can create an image, you can create a script, you can create a movie, you can create a whole trailer using AI in an afternoon. And I've tried it and I've done it. So you need to really ask yourself, what are the tools available and how can I deploy the existing tools to constantly do something better? So to answer your question, yes and no. You can be replaced if you stay the way you are, but if you adapt and if you change, you will be the one creating value for others. You will be that one-man million-dollar company that has created a team of AI agents that are analyzing or creating predictions or creating Twitter posts or doing whatever you'd want to do, because AI can do that for you. Thank you.
That is so much into depth. I think you've gone much more deeper. Now, Bwana Njoroge, what are your thoughts in regards to the same?
I think my view around the same is that AI is bringing collaboration, not elimination. And in that regard, I believe that AI has come and created new markets. For example, it's powering the platform economy. When you think of a platform economy, is something like Uber. Today, a cab can ferry 20 customers in a day. If every customer were to use a car, that would be 20 cars on the road. And that is the question on climate change and how we are protecting our environment. And actually, there's a publication from McKinsey that ICT, where the AI sits mostly, the emission contribution is 1.4%, but it's able to reduce emission, that is decarbonization, on other industries by 15 to 20 through improvement and enhancement of our processes. In Kenya, I think we are digital savvy. If you walk in our town, like CBD on one of the weekends, you see guys in the streets, creating content. A platform like TikTok is powered by AI models. That's a new job creation element that was not there initially. So AI, in as much as it may eliminate some traditional functions, it's creating more and more jobs than it kills.
Wow, that's actually a positive side of the same. So much indulgent, considering that it's actually putting more people to be agents in the same of giving information to AI and actually using the same to respond positively. Bwana Maxwell, in the business perspective, how does this information actually reflect on your side?
I was thinking of this. The question has always been there. Is AI going to replace us? And thinking of it before jembes were introduced, there were farmers and they were farming with something, maybe sticks. there is a farmer who complained about jembes will take their business, or tractors will take their business. Whereas there is another farmer who decided, let me see how I can learn how to drive a tractor. And then he became a better farmer. He could farm more land, could be more productive. I think it's the same thing with AI. You can spend the whole time complaining about the roots, others are harvesting the fruits. So I think it's a high time we get interested in learning. We learn as much as we can. There is a thing we limit ourselves. This I've seen with myself, telling yourself that is not your thing. It's actually your thing. It will affect you. It's sorry to say this, but it's like politics of a country. When you say, me, I'm not a politician, I don't like politics, it will affect you. It's AI, it's here. Learn something. It will make you, whatever you do, you become better. You become a better farmer if you're more equipped with the AI side.
That's amazing. I think this is the moment where we take questions from our audience to our 4 panelists. We can actually start.
Right. Thank you. I'm Felix Ogutu from Jumbojet. My question goes out to Njoroge. So, from my experience with the different aviation companies I work for, most of the time you find that they're not well prepared with their data. They're not well structured, they're not well put. So what is it that we as professionals or as skilled personnel into this field do so that we have a well-structured data strategy, with an example, of course, of what KQ has done, so that we have a well-layout structure, and then in turn, we are able to enjoy the fruits of AI. Because AI, as much as people think it's something big, it's just garbage in, garbage out. What you give it is what it gets back. So if your data strategy is not okay and your data architecture is not okay, you'll get something that is not all okay through AI. So what is this structure from the storage bit with examples, so that we can see where we're heading to, and also the final line, so that we understand how we can enjoy the fruits of AI, collaboration, and all that. Because according to the DAMA, Data Management International, they account 30% of costs due to unstructured and non-architected data. 30% of your costs go there. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a good question. I agree with you. Most organizations are not able to leverage the benefits of AI because are mostly of getting it into it from a hype aspect of it. I believe that AI stands on digital transformation, and on digital transformation, these are the phases that the company or the organization, will have to go through. There are 3 tenets. There is technology, transformation in terms of technology. That's the question of the existing infrastructure to support the innovation around AI. Then there is data governance that you have alluded or highlighted, Gamma. Data governance ensures that the data you are modeling with or you're using to do your AI models is of good quality, and it's data that is reliable, it's data that has integrity. Because again, if you model with data that is not of good quality, you'll get output, but that output will not be fit for purpose. And then lastly, there is people and culture. The organization needs to position itself in terms of the talent, the people that are in the organization, to be, or to try to envision to be a digital environment, whereby if you're working with business, maybe to solve a problem, we understand the value of data, because organizations, especially like AQ, will have a lot of data. It's about knowing the value of data. And then once you address those, what is underpinning is the strategy. How do we move from data as data, raw facts, then information, and then finally insight? So it's a question of digital transformation anchored on strategy.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Roini from Technical. My question will be mainly to Mr. Moiti. Yeah, we're talking about integrating all these things, and thank God you are for Safran. I myself am an avionics, I'm in avionics department rather. I'm not so much into my career, but I've experienced a little bit of exposure. I was working on the physical. When we talk about the aircraft radios, we talk about the navigation systems. I was working on them like I replaced a capacitor, an IC. But now, as much as we integrate in these avionics, but now the Safran comes in and talking about Collins, there was a bendix, it's a whole evolution, right? We've seen that growth, and we have seen growing into that because of our modern aircraft. It's all, we say it's fly by wire and so much. We're talking about not the physical one, but now we're talking of the cards. I've needed to just replace them and get in it. And to echo this, what is, for example, Safran, and even basically us at an airline, integrating with these companies to manufacture, repair all those, because we're talking about the growth in AI, and even seen flying, use the GPS, it's simple flying rather than quote unquote. How are you working to start developing them here? Because we see Africa the future. The focus is gaining traction in Africa as a whole, because it's demand in air travel. Even in Kenya, you can't the demand is quite evident and quite. How is Safran, and even as an airline, how are we looking forward to integrate all these things and bring them down here? Now you see, more of us will be remove or replacing. But now the demand that we get in here, you see Ethiopia is doing something on it. So the demand that is, or rather imagine in a few coming years, well, now the turnaround time will be going to be very viable, in how we operate. So are we working on that, integrating that? I saw that in Kemada at some point that the semiconductor thing. So these are things we should tap into, integrating that. And again, quite interested in the tech. You see this NVIDIA, they're building these processors, because in as much we're talking about the software part of it, there are a bit of it. So how do we get to gain that and that? Because you see when the aviation in attack, it can be another attack right now. The attack an aircraft is someone and everything is distorted. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so correct me if I got your question right. The first bit of your question was, how do we integrate manufacturers with airlines? How do we integrate, or how do we collaborate together, right? The other question I didn't quite get clearly, but I'll address this first one. Unfortunately, a lot of variables go into place. Africa has a great potential for what we call a regional center. We were discussing with some colleagues from Boeing, and we noticed that there is no regional center for Boeing in Africa. There was a Boeing conference in Addis, and we were discussing, okay, why is it that we are here and we're talking to African airlines, and every African rep that is representing a system or a component on the aircraft is not resident in Africa. So I am personally a big champion for this. I'm one of the very few that is locally based, but again, you find that you don't get a lot of traction when you're out there. So Boeing doesn't have a regional base for spare parts, a regional base for engineers, a regional base, and this is generally goes to speak as to how Africa leverages its resources. You find that we are lumped into this one big group called MEA, Middle East and Africa. And unfortunately, in this Middle East Africa group, the Middle East players have a lot deeper pockets. So you'd find that when you have Boeing, Airbus, Safran, GE, you'd find that the regional rep probably sits in Dubai, not in Africa. This is something that I constantly advocate for. I say that airlines should really try and push, because we should not go as individuals, as Kenya Airways, as Ethiopian, as we should try form a much more cohesive block and identify a place where this regional hub would sit and demand for it. When you're placing an order for an aircraft, this is something I say, demand for it. And then also push it to our side as Africans. The same Boeing was having a challenge, and even us, we had a challenge. We wanted to set up a regional center for landing gear overhaul. And I was privy to some data, which don't quote me, rankings of African countries of where this regional center can sit. Looking at Kenya, looking at Tanzania, looking at Ethiopia, and you're looking at Rwanda. By far, Kenya exceeds in terms of the number of intellectual that are present, the number of hired people you can hire. Communication is not an issue. You find that sometimes communication can go against Ethiopia. Population size is really good for Kenya. We are about 50, 60 million. This goes against countries like Rwanda. But the geopolitical factors in Kenya really mess us up. Someone is not sure if he'll set up this base in Kenya. How easy is it to set up a base here? How do you acquire land? If you want to set up a business, what are the processes? How do you get your dollars in and out? This is what these big multinationals are thinking about. When you go out of, because I left Kenya Airways and these guys are thinking about, okay, there's money there, you can go get it, but how do you get it out? And how easy is it for you to get it? So this is the challenge that I again throw back to us. Our processes are not great. I don't want to mention the word, but I will. Corruption is tough on us. You want to start a business, someone is asking you what's in it for me, instead of what is in it for the country. So that's where we lose the plot. That's where we find that we don't have these regional centers in Kenya. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question.
As we wrap it up, the last question, I guess.
Okay, my name is Sarah Busiburi. As my boss, Anastasia. I'm under her. First autistic person to actually Tony and her colleague of ours, the first neurodivergence to enter cybersecurity. So it's a big accomplishment. First, I know we are full of Gen Zs, we're also millennials here. I think so, as a learner's question I'll ask, and I think most of you guys, don't you know torrent, right? Like actually, while listening to them about protecting our data and stuff, and you know, before uTorrent, we used to go and get our movies banned into a CD, right? Actually didn't. I've been here for some time. It clicked to me. Is it a critical kind of website? That's a question to my boss, yes. And then to an exercise that actually really created an impact on how cybersecurity is crucial for everyone, not just in aviation, just each and every one of us. Because we've had of stories where guys have been hacked through WhatsApp. What else? Like if you're someone who's really interested in politics and stuff, you know, there's the war between Ukraine and Russia. You see the most famous airline, that Aeroflot, right? So imagine those guys were hacked for a whole year, and I think it was like 7,000 servers were taken over. So just imagine what it could do to a country with now the political instability that's there. So I don't know if you guys kind of experienced also an email to do this kind of training, the Huntress, and then like most of your accounts were locked, and then now you had to like kind of come back to the ICT to get your account unlocked. That was really, it was a big learning experience for me, because, you know, it's once you click into a link that you're not supposed to, it can make a company lose millions and millions of cash. So, maze, cybersecurity is very, you need to secure everything of yours, your phone, your laptop, your what, because see, we all have like okay, all of us are adults, right? We have KRA, our KRA pin, our NHIF, the place we stay, you know, with the recent let's say story for Mandamano, we see guys are being abducted. They do these things through the criminal activities, and they hack your device and actually know your location. That is how you're located. So yeah, your story, you torrent, and I used to be one of the culprits, because you know sometimes you don't have the money to go watch a movie, so you'd go and download it from the internet. Yeah.
Thanks, Farah, for the comment and question. So torrenting has come a long way. I think these days we have streaming sites, which I think long ago we had to go download things illegally, but now you have Netflix, which is a limited fee. There are different types of streaming sites that you can be able to subscribe to ensure that at least you're watching your movie in a safe space. And yes, torrents do pose a lot of threats. There are so many pop-ups, there are so many security vulnerabilities that you might find that might be targeting you and you're not aware. So it's always important to ensure you're doing things in a safe way. And just to comment on that recent attack on Aeroflot for Russia, yes, the attackers were there for a whole year, and even in terms of terminating your access, I want you to imagine a real life scenario. That's actually what happened in an actual attack. You don't have access to anything, you're helpless. That's what it entails. So it's always important to, you know, keep yourself aware with cybersecurity. It can really bring down an entire country as far as it's very easy. And as Kenya keeps adopting more and more technology, we put ourselves at risk. I know he had commented on NVIDIA as well. He had asked a question about that. And you see now, because of the geopolitical influences that we have, so these days, software and hardware is being built with a geopolitical connotation to it. So for example, you get a certain brand of firewalls or chips or GPUs, and they're actually having spyware on them. And this is because there's a lot of geopolitical influence on what is happening. So it's quite difficult, but it's always important, even when we're in the cybersecurity space, always to monitor suspicious traffic. Anything is put to question, and that's why you'll always see even my team are always questioning new things on very mundane things, like they come and tell you they want to update your machine, or they tell you that they've seen a suspicious login on your device from maybe you logged in twice within the last 5 minutes, such kinds of things. So it's just to ensure that you're always checking things with a critical eye, because cyber is quite bad, and people always want to have that kind of control, be it hackers, be it people who have, of course, like I've said, geopolitical influence in their life. So it's very, very important.
Thank you, Anastasia. To our panelists, we are actually grateful for your presence to be with us today. Bwana Maxwell, Bwana Mwiti, Anastasia, and finally, Mr. Samuel. We are really, really grateful. With that, we've learned a lot, a lot of information on your side. At least we can say once again, kwamba ni usiku wa giza kwetu. It's quite much more better right now. At least we can proceed with a much more an enlightened mindset on the same. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for the panelists. I want to invite Tom just come and as well give a token of appreciation to the team for their insightful words. panelist who didn't make it on time in the initial panel. So we just want to give her 3 minutes to just tell, so that she can tell us about her insights. So allow me to introduce the Deputy Director Consumer, NCPA, Madam Mercy Kagwiria, to just have a word with us, and then we'll be able now to close it as we also do the final bits of the organization.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Very quick intro. I know I'm coming between you and your lunch. Mercy is my name. Kagweria is the other name. I'm Deputy Director within the bank. I head a business unit called Consumer Banking. And at this particular point, I must say, we've just refreshed our scheme arrangement with KQ. So you're more than welcome to enjoy our various solutions. My apologies. I've come in slightly late. We were actually holding another session with our customers, slightly above 200 of them at Kempinski. I've had to run out of the session, and we were speaking matters financial wellness. But I don't have a lot of time to speak to that. Otherwise, we'll be talking about where your money should go to, how you should grow it, because you're people who are working extremely hard. Thank you for the opportunity. Nice meeting you, Tom, and the rest of the leadership here. A week ago, I had a chat with my daughter, who's like 9 years. And I asked her, what exactly are you afraid of? She shocked me. She told me, I'm afraid of adulting. Does that sound familiar? It does, yeah? It does. And therefore, I went ahead and asked why. She told me, Mom, this is very shocking. Mom, I've got to start paying tax. Now, this is a 9-year-old. Gen Alpha, yeah? Imagine, Mom, I've got to start paying tax. And if I don't pay tax, I'm going to be jailed. 9 years, remember. And she said, secondly, I have to be forced to buy a home. And if I don't buy a home, I'll be what? Homeless. Okay? This is a conversation with a 9-year-old. I want to use that to just let you know, you guys are living in very interesting times. And you're quite privileged because you've got the courage and you've got the confidence to handle whatever it is that you face. Isn't that so? When I sat there and I listened to the panelists, by the way, our time when we were starting off our career, I'm more than 2 decades old in the banking industry. So I've been there long. When we were kicking off our banking career, if we had such a panel, we'll be having older people like Mercy or like my good friend Tom here, speaking to us and giving us the sort of insights that I've had. But you're having Gen Zs and very young people. Guys, you've got the courage, you've got the insights. Make use of this season. We didn't have the opportunity to have this season. So that's my point number 1. The courage, the confidence will get you whatever, open up whatever doors. But I only want to talk about the other 2 C's. I call them the 4 C's of career and life generally. So I've talked about courage. I've talked about confidence, which you have it just by the virtue of this moment, this season, this generation, okay? But I see the need to probably look at consistency and commitment in a lot of areas. It was lovely to see Anastasia, who's a leader, talking about I got so and so, and now I'm training them, and they're doing X, Y, and Z. It was great to hear a lot of tech words. Some I have never heard, some I have heard, because I'm in the industry that also has a lot of tech advancements. But that consistency to learn, to seek out for mentorship, the consistency to seek out for coaching, the consistency to seek out for what I call the guy or the lady who will speak for you when you're not there, who's a sponsor. The consistency to do your job right. The consistency to wake up in the morning and show up, yeah? Because trust me, I've got some people who we've taken on, especially in my workplace. And then someone just wakes up and tells you, today I don't feel like, okay? And you get the resignation letter. So consistency and how you work through that, whether it's in your financial wellness journey, whether it's in your career, whether it's in your personal life, it makes a difference. So consistency. The last C is again tied to consistency, commitment. Okay? I really committed to whatever it is that you're doing. I've heard about a very interesting story from Mr. Moeti here. And I could tell he was talking about what he had to do and get back, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's learning a new skill, whether it is figuring out what's happening in the new spaces, whether in tech, in engineering, whatever your area is. How committed are you that you wake up every morning seeking out to brush yourself and say, yesterday was yesterday and today it's gonna be another day that I've got to be committed to do what it is that needs to get done and what it is that will push me forward, whether in my career or in my entrepreneurship journey. So I leave you at that and say, I hope you will have a great commitment and consistent journey, and you've got a great season that you're living in. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm really hoping and looking forward that we can have another opportunity where we can discuss matters. How can money work for you? Because like I said again, you've got a lot of people earning great money. But what their money is doing is questionable, okay? And it's not working for you. And we're hoping, and I'm happy, a short conversation I had with Tom is that we're gonna be given another opportunity as NCBA to come and just discuss matters financial wellness. And looking forward, Tom. Thank you very much and enjoy it and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for creating time amidst your busy schedule. Now we are coming to the wrap-up session of it all. And I want us, there's a link that has been done over here, www.kahoot.it. We want to play a quick game. Sawa sawa. This quick game, it has some gifting coming with it. So I want all of you, because you have smartphones, you can just do the www.kahoot.it, and then you're going to put the game pin 496114. Then you're going to enter with your name, sawa sawa. So that when the results tally out, I can be able to know who was number one. Right? We are good. www.kahoot.it. That's the game pin 496114. So as you guys play that game real quick, I want to give Tom a minute. He says hi. And also, the guys can start the quiz. Tom.
So thank you very much. I'll be very, very quick. And as we make sure that you are ready, because this game will start immediately after I finish. But I just want to summarize some of the things that have come through today. Today has been organized by the youth, and I think you've had great learnings and great insights that have come through. But I took some notes. Number one, in terms of your takeaways, own your voice, which means speak up on what matters. Silence will not create a path for change. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? Number two, skills are your currency. Keep learning, adapt, and upgrade. Are we together? Number three, be digitally wise. Technology is your tool, not your master. So use technology appropriately. Number four, collaborate. Choose to collaborate over competition. In other words, you will not do it alone. You have to cooperate with others. Next is, and I know it wasn't discussed so much, but I think I want to leave this with you. Guard your mental health. It's important. Okay? Next is, and this wasn't discussed, but I want you to take away to add up on what was there. Be ethically unstoppable. Because if you are ethically unstoppable, success without integrity is failure in disguise. So, as we close today, I want each one of you to dream big, start small, move fast, and progress with momentum. You are the generation of the solutions to the world, and it's nobody's business other than someone else's business, because it is your business that you are running. All the best as you enjoy your youth and catch up with some of us, but this time with a bigger impact and a bigger purpose that you will be driving. Thank you very much.
A better round of applause for Tom because of the good job that he's doing. At least we can see we get more opportunities to network, Sindio. So we can give him a better clap. Now, everybody, are we good with the Kahoots? So we can start. All right, all right. Backbencher. Aye. You know, today is Friday. You need to liven up. I know after here, the country requires you in other entertainment joints. So play this game with all vigor as we start it off. Sawa, sawa? We are cool. We can now start the quiz. Mshaanza? Oh, okay. Haya. Watu walikuwa na English aid. Wenye walikuwa enda remedial classes. Let me see you now. Question 2. Which two international routes has Jumbo Jet launched recently? Hii mtu ajea makikosa haki. Aya. All right, all right, all right. Now we're moving on to the next question. Which year was Jumbo Jet's inaugural flight? Thank you. So we are going to the next question. Ukikosa imekupita. What's the IATA airport code for Nampula? Please, don't say Nam. Come on, don't say Nam. All right. Question 5. What is the Kenya Airways shortest international destination? That's why I introduced somebody here. Watu wa backbencher mko na kelele. All right, all right, all right. Question 6. The friendly neighborhood. Nice, 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 nice. Kuna wengine hawapati kitu yani. Which team won the 2024-2025 Kenya Premier League? Na kama hujabaiwa jezi, today is the day by the way. Just in case, just reminding you. In case your jersey has not arrived, today is the day. Nice. Proceed. Question 8. Newest destination and what's the flight number? I know all of you know it's Gatwick, but what's the number? What's the number? Final question. Question number 9 before you go to the final one. The correct order of booking classes from the most lists. Umanza na X, ndio? You started with X, right? The final question, final question. Yani nakupatia hadi marks, lakini bado unauma nje. Final question. What was the first capital city of Kenya? I know, please, Wamunyoros. Wamunyoros and above. Sawa sawa. So all of you have done the good thing. Now let's see who's the top 3. Top 3. Sawa sawa. Youth man. Who's youth man? No, number 1 is Pablo Escobar. Where is he? Come. Pablo, come. Then number 2, youth man. And then number 3, Francis K24. Hey, what happened to the ladies? What happened? What happened? So the first one, Pablo. A round of applause for Pablo. Round of applause again for Pablo. That is good content, Pablo. Youth man. Number 2, youth man. Round of applause for youth man. And finally, number 3, Francis K24. Nice. Great. Thank you so much, guys, for attending today's event. I hope you've come out of here challenged inspired, and motivated to be better than you was yesterday. Sawa sawa. It's a fora that we are going to keep on improving. The next time we want to have a session, probably in the afternoon. Sindio? And it doesn't have to be in the early mornings. So thank you so much for coming in. Now I want you to stand on kidogo. I want us to clap. And I want us to dance to the favorite songs that we do now. Sindio? Tuangwa sound. Kuna ingoma fulani to kum kum baba. Kamoja tu. It's just for us. Just do it for us. Kumbaba. It's a day we celebrate the youth. Moja tu. Stretch, 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 stretch. Have a t-shirt for the best dancer. Sawa sawa. Have a t-shirt for the best dancer. Have a cape for the best dancer. In fact, whatever I was supposed to take, the best dancer will go with my gift. Whatever I was supposed to live here with, I'll give it to the best dancer. Sawa sawa. Sawa. All right. Then after here, we'll be having our lunch over there. You can have something just before you proceed to your departments or maybe somewhere else. As they do it, let me remind you. Let me go back. Nothing beats a jet two. All right. Simsima. Mafans ninawapenda wo. Mahaters. Yes, that feels so far so good. Hi, acha niwakumbushe ingine. As those guys get to set up us. There's another one that I so often. Life ni fupi. The other one. You have it? Sawa. There's another song that was often. Pretty little babies. Nice. I wanted us to just have that song. You liven up kidogo. You guys have sat for the longest, ndio? I hope you took the photos.